My best friend proposed to me. I'm confused and mortified. Where can we go from here? Frankly, I'm still in shock that this happened, so this might be all over the place, bear with me. All fake names, etc. Jordan and I met in university 2 years ago. We both started at the same time, and because of our ages we were both considered mature students, so we quickly became firm friends as we shared a dorm and would joke around together about us being old enough to be considered mature in our early 20s. We weren't on the same course, but given we lived together, we would hang out pretty much all the time whenever we didn't have a lecture. We joined a bunch of societies together, went drinking every weekend together, etc, etc. It was a pretty sweet gig because it meant we were at least never alone. Obviously we made other friends, both alone and together, but we were always each other's number one at the end of the day. At the moment we're on spring holidays for Easter, and while we haven't hung out constantly, we decided to make plans to visit each other's hometowns because we're from very starkly different places. Today we went to mine. Mine is a big city central. This morning we went there and we're wandering down the streets, doing some sightseeing because he's never been. There's typically a lot of street sellers here, trying to sell you everything from hot dogs to fluffy Pokemon hats. I decided I wanted to get a caricature done. I've never had one and I thought it would be funny to get and hang over my bed when we got back for term. I asked Jordan if he wanted to get in and he refused. No worries, so I sat down to get it done. They don't take very long, 5 to 10-ish minutes, so I stayed, looked straight forward at the artist the entire time. He finished the caricature. I loved it, so obviously I turned to show it properly to Jordan. When I turn though, I literally don't even know what to say. He's down on one knee, holding up a ring box. I don't even really know what he said. If he did the whole proposal speech thing, because I was so confused. I was barely paying attention. Remember again, this is a super busy tourist city, so this has drawn a mini crowd now, coming over to cheer us on. I couldn't help but burst into laughter. To be honest, I thought this was some kind of odd prank type thing. We never have been prankster types or whatever, but I couldn't come up with a reasonable explanation, so I just laughed and laughed and laughed until I looked at Jordan and he looked genuinely heartbroken. So obviously I asked him something along the lines of, "You're not being serious?" This is the only thing I remember him saying. He shut the box, stood up, shrugged and said, "I guess not anymore," and walked off. This left me standing pretty awkwardly in this gathered crowd of people, a lot of who were giving me dirty looks, which made me incredibly uncomfortable. The plan was to meet back up at a hotel that we'd booked rooms next door to one another, so I figured that's where he's going and head back that way, but he's not there, so I wait, and he still doesn't return. I text him out of concern. This was at 1:15 p.m. It's currently 6:20 p.m. as I'm writing this, just asking him if he's okay. He responds with a long message back, which I would post because it's an odd read, but I won't out of respect for his privacy, in which he basically accuses me of leading him on, asking why I didn't break up with him sooner, saying I had publicly humiliated him and that he thought I loved him the same way, and that he felt our relationship was strong enough to consider taking the next step. Now this is completely out of left field. I literally have got no idea where in the world he got this idea from. The closest we've ever physically been is a hug hello and goodbye. I've never even jokingly flirted with him for exactly this reason. I've had too many friendships collapse because they can't tell the difference between serious, interesting and joking banter and friendships, so I've been extra careful to not. We've never kissed, never been on a date, never had sex. I do not find him physically attractive and I wouldn't want to be in a relationship with him. I don't understand where on earth he's got this idea that we are. This isn't something he's ever brought up before and I'm genuinely bewildered. He hasn't returned to the hotel yet. I periodically knock to check and I've been listening out for him walking up the hallway or anything. Nothing. I haven't responded to his long paragraph because honestly, I don't know how to. I'm just so stunned and taken aback that I genuinely have no idea where to go from here or what to do. I haven't told anyone I know in person yet, mostly because I don't want to bring this up to people who know Jordan, so here I am, turning to strangers on Reddit instead. What in the world do I do? That's bizarre. He's just conjured this relationship out of nowhere. I mean, the more I think about it, the more worried I am about his mental state, especially given the fact that Opie said this has come completely out of nowhere. I mean, surely you can't be best friends with somebody for that long and not realize they have a crush on you or something like this is going on. Let's go to some comments. He's at the age where severe mental illness can really manifest. Reach out to his family and share your concerns. Normal, healthy-minded people do not imagine years-long romantic relationships with people. I would also avoid being alone with him until it's confirmed that his grasp on reality is not tenuous. Opie replies, "Thank you. I don't really know any of his family, but I'll see what I can do." Is he religious by any chance? This could possibly explain how he could see the lack of any physical intimacy as compatible with dating. You're staying pure. I assume you've never dated or hooked up with anyone during your friendship with him? Opie replies, "He's Catholic, but he's non-practicing. He believes in God and the Bible and such, but he doesn't go to church, and as far as I know, he isn't very strict in his beliefs. I've had hookups, but no relationships. He hasn't had any relationships, but I'm not sure about hookups. We don't even talk about sex with each other, to be honest, outside of the occasional, 'he's fit, I would,' while people were watching." I strongly disagree with the people saying this is an acute mental health crisis. If he was slipping into psychosis, mania, or something similar, you would know just from being around him. If the message was weird but generally coherent, he isn't experiencing a clinical break from reality. He's just been in his head privately nurturing this fantasy of a relationship. Who knows when he decided to buy the ring? It sounds like he has been in love with you for a while and assumed you harbored similar unspoken feelings. He is probably lonely, romantically, and maybe doesn't get much attention from women, and it sounds like you have a pretty intimate friendship. Men tend to develop feelings for platonic friends or therapists more easily because they aren't accustomed to that type of intimacy outside of romance. As far as what to do, you are in an impossible situation. His pride was hurt by your reaction because he's been caught up in a fantasy that was shattered. Your nervous laughter, very understandable, was probably close to a worst-case scenario, and he is taking it personally. You could reach out and offer some type of assurance or explanation, quote, "I wasn't laughing because XYZ," or "I'm here if you want to talk," to mitigate bitterness or hurt feelings, but anything short of yes is still going to leave him wounded. Give him space and talk to someone you trust. I would avoid talking to his family or friends for now unless necessary, as it would only add to the feeling of humiliation. A failed proposal will often end a friendship. It might be the same with your friend. It sounds like he's angry and might go back into his head to protect himself by demonizing you. I'm sorry. Opie replies, "This is also actually a pretty reasonable take. Others have asked if I've noticed any different behaviors and such recently, and I haven't. This is the first WTF thing that's happened, and I haven't noticed anything change. His message is very coherent and clear, nothing out of the ordinary, a bit rambly. Him and I both, I guess, lol. And obviously contextually the actual content makes very little sense, but the phrasing and grammar and such is all completely clear. So potentially you're onto something." Yeah, it's a good theory, that one. I also like the closet heavily religious theory as well. Could have some traction there. On to an update. Jordan did in fact not come back to the hotel. I stayed up until 1 a.m. before falling asleep and he didn't return. When I woke up the next day, the hotel staff let me know he'd checked himself out at about 6 a.m. I did end up responding to his big long text. I took everyone's advice and told him that I was sorry it didn't go as he had expected, but that I wasn't sure where he'd got the impression we were together. I said I'd be happy to sit and have a discussion about it all so we could make sure we're on the same page. He was not happy about this at all, and he again went off with a bunch of the same type of things he'd said in his first message. It didn't really seem to be going through his head at all. Even in these new texts, he kept referring to this all as me breaking up with him, despite me explicitly telling him we are not and never have. Again, all his messages were very clear and coherent, even if what he was saying was not based in reality at all. He wasn't sending paragraphs, just sentences in really quick succession, which was blowing my phone up. He told me he didn't want to meet up with me to talk because I'd ripped out his heart and crushed it in public. I did ask for specific instances he could recall between us that made him think we were dating, but he completely ignored the question and just kept going on and on about how hurt he was that I was breaking up with him and how he felt his world was ending. He said he loved me more than anything and had felt so confident that I had too, which is why he felt so certain about proposing to move our relationship along, ? Eventually, to be honest, I grew pretty tired of the conversation and stopped responding because it was just going around and around in circles, me asking where he got this idea, him ignoring this and telling me how hurt he is, I'm breaking up with him over this, etc., etc. He went on and on saying he thought it would be a ring I like because it was my favourite gem, ruby, instead of diamond. It's got me wondering how much he actually spent on this damn thing. I didn't look very clearly at the ring, so I couldn't tell if it was something super expensive or not, and that he'd been working up the courage to do so for a while, and figured doing it when I was at home would make it more special. For a while he was just talking to himself in my texts because I wasn't responding anymore. When I checked back about 20 minutes later, I had something like 60 messages from him. Granted, they were all one sentences. At the very end he apologised and told me that it didn't matter anyway because I wouldn't see him around anymore. Obviously I was concerned, so I asked for clarification. He said that he was going to drop out of university and go back home because he couldn't deal with the shame. That's where our conversation ended. I didn't really know what to respond to after that. Wow, how does this guy go from best friend to just full incel? It's crazy. On to another update. As it stands now, I don't really know where Jordan is. I didn't ask him, which is my bad. I'm not sure if or when we will talk again. I'm sorry, this is quite a boring update. Unfortunately, I can't excite everyone with a, and then he turned up at my door and then he sent me flowers or whatever. It feels a lot is unanswered. I still don't know where he got the idea we were together from. He hasn't explained that, so I'm sorry I can't give everyone that answer. I haven't reached out to his family yet. I did consider it, but if he's not having a mental health crisis, I don't really want to involve them unnecessarily. Update 2. So adding on, a lot of people said I should ask our mutual friends if he's ever brought this up before, ever suggested we were dating, etc. All of the people I've asked, granted it was only 5, said that they've got no clue and he's never mentioned it before now. I don't know then if this is something that he's newly started thinking or if it's been something long term, etc. Either way, in addition, I've also screenshotted all of his texts, etc., just in case. Reading back on them, not with a slightly less confused mindset, they read pretty manic. Still haven't heard back from his mum just yet. Now for some final comments. I understand not wanting to involve family, but as you are close and in college, surely there are other friends or people who know you both you could reach out and ask. You don't even have to go into specifics, just be like, hey, did you think that Jordan and I were dating? Or have you heard Jordan refer to us as dating? Get a sense of whether this is something ongoing and he's just a regular weirdo, or if this is something concerning that should be brought up with family or mental health professionals at your school. Opie replies, we do share some mutual friends. I haven't really considered reaching out to them, but I'll definitely think about doing so. I feel like someone would have told me if he had been saying that to them though, but obviously I'm not certain. I haven't told anyone in real life about it, not even my parents. Just been keeping under the near total anonymity of Reddit, but I can definitely see why it may be important to do this. Let us know if you get any more info. So sorry you're going through this. It sounds scary and confusing. Opie says, will do. I'm hopeful this won't need another update to be honest, and it can just be left at this. If there's anything small, I'll just add it to this post. I'll only make another post if something else major happens, which, fingers crossed, it doesn't. His sentences, being clear and coherent, are not a tell that this isn't psychosis. Rapid and constant speech is a symptom of psychosis, and he is firing off sentence after sentence about something that is clearly a delusion. Opie replies, interesting. I don't really know anything about psychosis and such. I mostly brought up the coherent texting because other people mentioned it in my other post, but that's definitely interesting to note. Texts were super rapid. Righto guys, and that's the end of that story. Geez, yeah, a bit scary in his behaviour, and it makes you wonder if there is something like psychosis or some other thing going on. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. But yeah, all in all, a proposal shouldn't be a surprise like that. I mean, the timing should be, but the proposal itself should be relatively expected, I think. Like, you gotta be on the same page, and I don't know what this guy was thinking proposing like that. His anger after the fact was probably mostly at himself for embarrassing himself in public like that, and then he was just taking it out on OP. But yeah, tricky situation all around. Okay, let's go to another story. Okay, this next one was written by user Mum Overthinks, and it's titled, "Just found out my fiancé cheated. A lot. It's his birthday. How should I tell him?" Last night I snooped. I really was just looking to see if his assistant had pushed up on him yet, because it seems like she's interested in him. I came across some Facebook messages indicating he wasn't where he said he was on his birthday last year. He doesn't message much, so they were near the top of the list. It seems like some were deleted, so I went to his Gmail app to see if he maybe had notifications in his email of what was missing. I discovered another email address I've seen come up a couple of times on his phone. I looked at that one and found that it's used to post images for his company and get feedback about Google reviews for them as well. But the name on the email is his middle name and brother's name, so clearly he doesn't want it to lead back to him. Most of the emails were Google voice text messages, so I started looking at those, and there were conversations between him and multiple different prostitutes. He met up with many of them. He told me he was going to get a massage. There are dates in the messages and times that line up with him telling me he was doing one thing or another in our texts. So now he's at work. We have a dinner tonight with his mum for his birthday, and I'm trying to hold it together so we can celebrate him. I know. And then I plan on bringing it up tomorrow when he's off. But how? He's the type to deflect and get defensive, so I need to be careful about how I introduce this so we don't get stuck on, "You snooped through my phone," because I think we can all agree what he did is way worse. Any tips on how to bring this up to him without being railroaded before I even get started? P.S. We have a daughter, so I know I'll probably leave, but I have to be delicate so that we can agree on things regarding her in the near future. Oh geez, why even throw the birthday party in the first place? I don't know, I guess I can understand Opie's hesitance, but I have a feeling her mood's going to bring down the party anyway, so might as well just come clean. Let's look at the comments. Girl, F his birthday. If this were me, and I knew there'd be drama, I'd get my ducks in a row so I could disappear one day. I would not even say I knew until I was already gone. Opie replies, I've thought about this too. I don't know why, something in me just wants to make sure he knows that I know. I just can't stand the thought of him being able to paint me as the bad guy who left for no reason and broke up our family. First question is, are you trying to avoid the drama so you can stay? Opie says, truthfully, I don't even know. I know I need to leave, but it's tricky because he's spiteful and I don't want him to give me a hard time about my daughter coming with me. First off, make up an excuse and bail on his birthday dinner. There shouldn't be a discussion. Go to a lawyer and figure out what you want with the lawyer. Once you've figured out where you and your kiddo are going, move. Don't give him a heads up. He didn't care if he got an STD, he lied to you, and yet you're pretending that what matters is his temper. No, what matters is that you need to be a good mum and set an example for what to accept in a relationship. Opie comments, thank you guys for the advice and for the concern. Truly, I really thought I wanted advice, but honestly, this is all too much. I just need to focus and get the F out. Talking about it is having the opposite effect than what I thought. Okay, on to an update. It's just been a few hours since posting this, but about 16 since I found out all this info. I have video and pictures, screenshots and pictures of the phone screen. I contacted someone I trust to help me find a lawyer I can afford. Monday he goes back to work, so that's when I'll call the lawyer and figure out my plan. Once the plan is sorted, I'll sit him down that day and let him know what's going on, and that I don't want to take our baby girl away forever, but we are going to do XYZ with custody. Then I'm going to stay with my mum until I get everything together and in a new place. Yeah, good ideas all round, and fingers crossed he doesn't blow up about it. You just know how people can get in these situations. Am I the a-hole for not paying for the things that my toddler destroyed? Sorry in advance for the mistakes I'll make, as English is my second language. I, 36 female, have a 2.5-year-old son. He is energetic and curious like every child is supposed to be. Meltdowns are age appropriate, but he usually doesn't do that unless he misses sleep, gets sick or something like that. I make sure to let him release his energy in playgrounds, etc. every day so he wouldn't climb furniture, lol. Our parenting style is similar to that British show called Super Nanny. By that I mean, for example, if you don't eat your vegetables, you won't get any dessert. No matter how much you cry, it won't change that. Or 7:30 is the sleep time after our nighttime routine. Unless there is an extreme case, 99% of the time he'll be in his bed, trying not to be in bed to have more fun. We do a little dance where he comes back to me and I put him in his bed again and again. Rules are the rules. My mother-in-law, 58, lives far away from us and invited us to her home so she can see her grandson face to face instead of everyday FaceTiming. Her home is filled with knickknacks, etc. I mean, it's not ideal to have my toddler live in there for a week, but with our parenting style, if we say no, it means no, so we thought it would be manageable with my 24/7 supervision. What we didn't calculate for was my mother-in-law's character. She is not a recovering people pleaser. She is a proud people pleaser. She thinks she's like Mother Teresa, but is actually one of my husband's traumas that he had to act extra aggressive to people to protect his mother from the people using her. She started giving my son chocolate cake behind my back because he refused to eat his proper meal, and I was like, he will eat when he is hungry. Apparently, she couldn't imagine a toddler being left hungry by his mother, and since he's refusing the meal, he has to eat something, right? Whenever my son has meltdowns for the things that I wouldn't let him do, she saves him from his despot mum and does the thing with him, because she couldn't bear watching him cry like it's the end of the world. Thanks to her week-long actions, now my son thinks my mother-in-law overrides my rules. If he cries enough, he can get what he wants. So now he doesn't stop crying for a long time, since eventually his angel of a grandma will save him. Today I woke up with flu, and my mother-in-law volunteered to babysit him. After a few hours, she came to my room asking for me to pay for her kitchen cabinets. Apparently he was banging a ladle on the cabinet doors and made a lot of dents on the paint. I was like, where were you when it happened? Well, she was right there. She wouldn't have left him alone, of course. Why didn't you take the ladle from his hands? Well, he didn't let her. After the meaningless back and forth with similar questions, I already had a headache from my sinus, so I just went back to sleep saying, no, I won't pay, and it seems like you need to discipline your grandson and be the bad guy for the first time. Now she's crying in her room. So, am I the a-hole? Yeah, I think a lot of grandparents can be guilty of spoiling and, babying the child a bit more. So I think this is probably an important lesson for them to learn. Let's go to some comments. Not the a-hole. Your son didn't, quote, let his grandma take the ladle back. Assuming your mother-in-law has perfectly functional hands, she should have easily been able to take a ladle from a toddler. Normally, I would say that parents are responsible for anything their child breaks, but it sounds like grandma didn't want to discipline your son under any circumstances, but has no reservations about making it your problem. And if your mother-in-law were better about enforcing rules and boundaries in the first place, your son probably wouldn't have been able to get a hold of the ladle and use it to hit the kitchen cabinets hard enough to cause notable cosmetic damage. Sadly, it sounds like these kinds of problems will persist unless you set hard ground rules with your mother-in-law. It'll take a while to get your son to stop associating his grandma with laxity and the rules, and he'll keep pitting the two of you against each other. Not the a-hole. I wouldn't worry about it. If she can't manage to stop a 2-year-old from denting her cabinets while she's standing right there, she's not going to be able to get money out of you either. Not the a-hole. Sounds like grandma effed around and found out. You were doing right by your child, and she decided she knew better. The price for that sounds like new paint. Hopefully she learns her lesson on this one, and grows a bit of a backbone with her grandson. Not the a-hole. Why should you pay for the damage caused by your son when your mother-in-law, who volunteered to babysit him, was supposed to be watching him? If she doesn't want to discipline the child, then she shouldn't volunteer to watch him. Let me tell you a true story about myself. My parents left me alone with my grandmother on their date night, and I started chewing on a cord that was plugged into an electrical outlet. My grandmother, like your mother-in-law, didn't want to make me cry, so she just let me keep chewing on it until I eventually broke through and got electrocuted, burning a giant hole in the side of my mouth that left a scar that remains over 50 years later. Refusing to discipline a child is not an act of love, it's an act of laziness. Geez, what a scary story. Point taken. On to an update. So, when I took my rest, no longer having a headache, I sat down with my mother-in-law and talked about how her actions affect my son and my son's relationship with me and the environment he's in. I told her that undermining my authority is never a good idea. Even though I might be stricter than she prefers, this is how I choose to raise my son. I've been with him 24/7 since the day he was born, and I do observe he is more happy and learning better with more structured life. She tried to argue that she is a mum for 36 years and I'm just a mum for 2.5 years. I told her my son is not the same person as her son, so they may have different needs. Plus the time is different now. We grew up playing on the streets with our big cousins taking care of us, where a car barely passed by. Every neighbour knew us and there was a "it takes a village" situation going on. On the other hand, my son doesn't have that "let him free they grow themselves" kind of luxury. Well, since in her head she is the best and nicest person around, she still tried to argue whatever she did was for the good of her grandson. It took for me to threaten her with letting my husband know about this and let him decide what to do going forward. Then she accepted to act according to my wishes. There were a lot of comments in my previous post about what my husband does meanwhile. Well, he travels for work. He just spent the first day with us and then hopped cities for a week, auditioning the franchising locations he's working for. And when the week ended, he came to take us to our hometown, which was yesterday. I try not to share every small disagreement with my husband, as he's always quick to action instead of thinking it through. While we have the same principles about life and we agree about almost everything, yet I think his execution of our same ideas needs some more grace in my opinion. That was why my mother-in-law was afraid of his reaction to the situation. She knows for a fact he may decide not to show her grandson to her at all. In the end, she did do what I told her to, but still tried to make me the bad guy by saying, "Well, your mum told us not to do that," instead of saying, "It's the wrong thing to do." It took her half a day to revert back to her usual self. You guys were expecting some broken knickknacks when I mentioned them. Well, it happened. Her fridge door is full of magnets that she collected around the world while travelling in her younger days. I forbid my son not to touch them at all, and he did avoid them altogether, until she overrides my decision and said, "Being curious is good for kids. Let's look at them together and you can touch the plastic ones." My son instantly became mesmerized by them and made it his life mission to explore every single one of them. He was now obsessed with them and he slipped away all day and found himself in front of the fridge every chance he got. He doesn't know the concept of plastic or not, and of course eventually dropped and broke one of the non-plastic ones. I'm not paying for that either, lol. Karma, I guess. I'm just glad he didn't break the heirloom crystal glassware that was showcased in a show cabinet. That would have broke my heart as a wannabe history geek. P.S. A few comments made fun of me referencing Super Nanny. I admit it was wrong of me to do that. I just wanted to paint a picture in your head about my parenting style, and I only watched 2 episodes and happened to agree the methods used there. I googled the problems about Super Nanny, and I learned that they were forcing kids to act out to have more drama on screen, and blasting kids' mistakes to public may result with them getting bullied at school, which is indeed abuse. My kid is not problematic, he is just energetic and curious, and I don't think I'm punishing him by setting rules. He is more happy when he can guess what will happen next. Predictability makes him feel safe and in control. Okay guys, and that's the end of that story. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty clear that without a doubt the grandma was responsible for the damage, and it seems like she never really learned her lesson too, reverting back to her old ways like Opie said. At least now Opie and her husband know what to expect when they send their kid off to grandma. What are your thoughts about this one? Let me know. Perhaps you also had a grandma that was a little bit too lenient with you. Anyway, on to another story. Okay, this one's from Relationships. It was written by user Zealous Ideal Home, and it's titled, "Husband wants me to get my own hotel room on vacation." My husband, 34, and I, 34, have been married for 5 years, and we're going out of the country for a destination wedding in a few days. Today he told me he wants me to get my own hotel room. In January, my husband moved out. He said he needed some time and space. I don't think a separation is the way to fix our relationship. The couple that he's been staying with is the couple that are getting married. Last week, I told him I was feeling uncomfortable celebrating the marriage of a couple that isn't supportive of our marriage. He said they do support us, that's why they gave him a space to stay. Now he doesn't want to go on this vacation together. He's not going to stop me from going, but he doesn't want to spend time with me, and definitely doesn't want to talk about anything about us while on vacation. Anyway, the hotel is all-inclusive and the cheapest rooms are $155 a night. After taxes and fees, for 6 nights, that's $1,000. I feel like that's an unnecessary extra expense to tack onto a trip we're leaving for in 2 days. Edit. I've been asked to add some relevant info. Husband and I have discussed boundaries. My brother is going. The bride and groom are my friends too, and they still want me there. Husband doesn't want to discuss our marriage because I often get upset whenever we do. And edit 2. We separated because I confronted him after finding court documents for a wage garnishment. He had taken out a loan shortly before we got married and decided to not make any payments. This wasn't the first time money has been an issue. This was not the first unpaid debt, missing money, or giving money to his ex-wife and frivolous spending. I found the documents in December. He said he didn't know why he was getting a garnishment. He couldn't call anyone because he didn't have time while working nights. I called the debt collector to find out the details. We got into an argument, and he left that night. Geez, yeah, there's a pretty low chance of this marriage recovering from here, and it's obvious he's distancing himself already. Unless Opie can get into a mindset of letting go and enjoying herself, I probably wouldn't go on this trip. Let's go to some comments. I would not go on this trip if I were you. I think he's preparing for the divorce, and you should be as well. Opie, after reading your comments here, I'm seeing a lot of shame and self-loathing. I just want to take a moment to validate you. It was reasonable to be mad about hiding a huge money issue. It's normal to want to have a conversation and be upset that he won't have it. You are not dumb for not making him get another room. You were caught off guard, and how could you have foreseen that? You are not lesser for being separated. People generally want to help those that they know are hurting. Let your community know. I think you need to give yourself time to say goodbye. It's okay to grieve the relationship you had as you learn how it has changed to something that isn't serving you anymore. You do not bear the burden of fixing this. However, I think wisdom would dictate that you find a lawyer for your own protection. I would be concerned about sharing liability on these loans. I hope you can find peace. Girl, some self-respect and awareness are really needed here. He doesn't want you to go. He doesn't want to be with you. The couple he's staying with don't support your marriage, despite what he's saying to placate you. Do you really want to go for a week of misery alone, instead of having a week to yourself sorting out your head? Take the time off work. It sucks you're losing out on money, but keep your dignity and say you're sick so you won't be going. Get yourself prepped for the inevitable divorce coming your way, and accept that this is the end of the chapter, whether you want it to be or not. Sorry if I sound harsh, but it's glaringly obvious this will be a week of hell if you go. Opie replies, "Thank you for your honesty. I am excited for a beach vacation. I'm looking forward to spending time with my brother, who is going as well. But you're right, I don't know how much I'll enjoy laying on a beach, wondering what he's doing. But I'll wonder the same thing if I stay at home." And Opie updates, "My brother enthusiastically is letting me stay with him. Now we are going to plan a brother and sister tropical excursion." Righto guys, and that's the end of that story. Yeah, after reading those comments, I imagine Opie probably came to a pretty bittersweet understanding there, but I think she kind of knew deep down from the start that this probably was the end of a chapter. But yeah, it's a great idea to take some time off, reflect, and then move on. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. Okay, on to another story. Okay, we're still on relationships. This one was written by user Accurate Swimmer, and it's titled, "My husband keeps ruining my birthday. How do I tell him without starting a fight?" It is my 41 female birthday today. My husband, 49 of 19 years, can be an a-hole. I don't need anyone to tell me that. His crappy behaviour is few and far between though, and most of the time we get along, love each other, sex is great and fairly frequent, he is very unselfish in bed, cleans up around the house, ready to jump in and do whatever needs to be done with the kids. Generally a good husband with some bad qualities. The problem arises when we try to resolve conflict, and he is extremely defensive to the point it's aggressive, hence my post. Last year on my birthday, I didn't, quote, tell him clearly enough what I wanted him to do while we planned the evening. He ended up snapping at me, then refusing to speak to me, and I ended up crying driving myself and our kids to the trampoline park. That's where I wanted to go. I love it. He doesn't. This year I was clear. I said I wanted to do the pool or another type of adventure park by us. Think Dave and Buster's, but also with a zip line. He said, oh no, don't plan anything. He has a surprise. While I was out running a quick errand with my daughter today, he told me to come home because the surprise was almost there. It was that he invited my mother over for the day. My mother and I aren't close. She is emotionally cold and distant to the point she can be rude to me, and he knows our relationship is unfulfilling at best and disappointing at worst. She will sometimes just pretend I'm not speaking and start talking to someone else while I'm mid-sentence. We don't spend time together, and my husband doesn't particularly like her either. And so far, he has spent the day giving us 20 minutes at the table having cake, then he went into our hot tub alone, and now he's downstairs playing some video games. I'm stuck here with my mum, who will probably stay until bedtime. I feel like my day is ruined again. I'm seething mad. In all fairness to him, he bought me flowers and several pieces of Coach jewellery, even though I don't wear jewellery, which he knows. I feel like he threw money at it, invited my mum to babysit me, so now he can do what he wants. How do I bring this up without causing a raging argument? I feel angry and overlooked. I feel like I was handled and then bailed on. Please give me some blueprint for how to handle this. Oh yeah, this guy sounds like a lazy prick. I reckon Opie is spot on here. He threw money at it in regards to the jewellery, just to give him some space to do what he wanted for the rest of the day. Let's go to some comments. That, my dear stranger, is total BS. That's not a birthday. That's punishment with a consolation prize. May I suggest that you plan your own birthday celebrations going forward. He should not contribute anything, at all. Happy birthday, and sorry. Maybe just as you well know, my mother is not a birthday gift, so tomorrow, or whatever day you pick, will be my do-over. Adventure park for sure. Narcissistic people ruin holidays and birthdays. I didn't realize I was with a narcissist until I randomly read the book Codependent No More. I couldn't unsee it after I had all the info. Go get a fancy meal out in a new outfit. On him. Yeah, like this guy could have easily just done like a birthday dinner date or something. That would have been leagues better than this. I don't know what he's thinking. Delusional. Let's go to an update. We spoke about it today. It began with some crappy defensiveness, but calmed down after a few minutes to regroup. His answer to me was that in mentioning to him how good my mum was doing in her grieving process, he interpreted that to mean my relationship with her was doing good. He actually invited my sister and brother-in-law who couldn't make it at the last minute. She is late in pregnancy and has frequent migraines now. It wasn't just my mum. Which makes way more sense to me. I told him I was disappointed. He asked if I wanted to go out Friday to a movie and dinner. I said no, I want to do water park, so he agreed. He's presently on the website to buy tickets. I also want to address a few of the comments suggesting that getting along isn't being happy, and it's possible I phrased it wrong. We actually have a good time together. It isn't just non-argumentative, it's good. Like he rubs my back and picks up my prescriptions and notices when I'm stressed and asks if I need an afternoon out. We are horrible at conflict resolution. That's it. I make his appointments and light the fireplace and make dinner, so it's welcoming when he walks in the door. I am aware that I'm the partner who cares more. It is what it is. He's presently watching cartoons and painting our daughter's nails. My romantic fulfillment isn't the only thing at play here, and it also isn't an unsolvable problem. I appreciate all the responses. Thank you for taking the time to offer support, suggestions, and your own experiences. They were heartfelt and personal, and I don't take any of that lightly. Okie dokie, and that's the end of that one. Let me know your thoughts down below. A pretty good ending there, and probably a good reminder that relationships like this probably aren't as bad as the Reddit comments are making it out to be. And myself, I'm guilty of it sometimes as well. Am I the a-hole for leaving a dinner party after a girl sat on my husband's lap? I'm still so shook with everything, so sorry for my rambling. My husband, Jake, and I have been married for 3 years, and from the beginning he was very close with his best friend's sister, Cindy, 18. Well, my husband would often talk about her and tell her how he'd seen her grow up throughout the years. Cindy is always very bubbly and seems very fond of Jake as well. I remember when we were dating, she would ask to come along on our dates a lot. I never really said anything, as I liked spending time with her as well. She was like a little sister to me. When we announced our engagement, she asked to my husband to better not forget her after being a married man and to still hang out with her. Well, we got married and I even made her my bridesmaid. Soon we moved to a different state and kind of lost contact. Now Jake's best friend came to stay with us for some time and Cindy came along as well. Now the moment she saw us, the first thing she said was how hot my husband has gotten, and she was glad he didn't look like those boring married men. Then throughout their stay, Cindy would just ignore my presence and will be way too close with Jake. I told Jake that it was looking a bit inappropriate and to ask Cindy to tone it down, but he said that Cindy is just a bit childish and is that way with everybody. Well, on their last day, we decided to host a dinner party for everybody. During the party, I was with Jake when Cindy came and told me, "Oh, I need to steal your husband for a while." And before I could say something, she grabbed Jake's hand and took him for playing games. I ignored it since it was their last day, but then throughout the dinner, she was getting way too close with Jake and would just drag him away whenever I would be around while giggling at me. When everybody sat for dinner, I sat beside Jake and Cindy came last. She then said, "Oh, there's no seat," and then just went and sat on my husband's lap. Everybody was surprised, and Jake said laughing, "Cindy, stop acting like a kid. You're not a kid anymore." Cindy started laughing, saying it was a joke, and got up and sat on another seat while giggling at me. Yeah, I was so angry with the disrespect and with the fact that Jake was so cool with it, but I didn't want to say anything bad, so I excused myself, took my car, and went out. About 1 hour later, Jake called me, asking where I was. I told him I'm going to my friend's house, and I'll come after Cindy has left. I know what I did was terrible, but I was so angry at that time that if I had stayed there any longer, I would have probably started fighting or crying. I came the next day, and Cindy and her family had left. Jake was very ticked and said I took things too far. I started crying and told him how everything made me feel. He said I was horrible to think such things about Cindy and that she was like his sister. I told him that I was not doubting his intentions, but I was hurt by how disrespectful Cindy's behavior was, and he was enabling her by not saying anything. He started saying that I sound ridiculous and couldn't even take a joke, referring to the sitting on lap incident. I said regardless, I don't want her in my house again. To top it off, Cindy sent a message saying that she was sorry about making me so insecure in myself and that she would make sure to make me feel better, but I should not have left as it was pretty childish and kind of spoilt the mood. It felt so backhanded, I didn't reply anything to her. I just told my husband he needs to maintain a distance with Cindy. He asked if I was giving him an ultimatum. I said if he will go as far as disregard and disrespect my feelings for Cindy. This really rubbed my husband the wrong way, and he said since I have such disgusting thoughts in my mind and is giving him an ultimatum anyways, then he might as well leave because he cannot live with such an insecure person who has such disgusting thoughts about him. He packed a bag and left to his mother's place. I've tried apologizing numerous times, telling him how sorry I am for everything, but he's ignoring my texts and calls. Later, Cindy's brother texted me and called me a bunch of names. To think like that about his sister, saying Jake should just leave me and a disgusting person like me deserves to be alone. I could not stop crying after that. I don't know how to fix this. Is there a way to even come back? Was I so wrong to deserve this? I don't know anymore. People who are asking our ages, we are 25 years old, just months apart. What? I can't believe the way the people are turning on her. I mean, the only thing she did wrong here was apologize to her husband. He's way out of line here. And I feel like Cindy's doing all this stuff as some sort of power trip. I don't know. Let's go to the comments. Not the a-hole. Your husband should care about making you uncomfortable. You pointed out it was inappropriate. He blew it off up until the point she sat in his lap, and even he has to say something, not because he was upset, but because everyone was looking. He is disregarding his own encouragement of the behavior and gaslighting you to try and make it look like a you problem. He is a married man who is letting a young woman sit in his lap and intentionally disrespect his wife. You don't have a problem with Cindy, you have a problem with your husband. This level of disrespect to one's spouse is unacceptable. A little sister? Then why didn't she sit on her brother's lap? That is weird and it's disrespectful, not the a-hole. He is disregarding your feelings, perhaps cancelling before divorce. Not the a-hole, her behaviour is inappropriate. She's not just a little girl with a crush anymore, so she needs to be treated accordingly. He's a married man, and he needs to be shutting down that type of behaviour, because she's not going to stop until he does. I understand that he probably still views her as a harmless kid, but your husband should be considering your feelings and boundaries. Not the a-hole, your husband, and everyone else for that matter, is gaslighting you. You have every right to feel the way you do. She is 18, she's not a kid anymore. She knows fully what she's doing. Maybe your husband doesn't feel any attraction towards her, but he shouldn't dismiss your feelings like that. Him, his friend, and his friend's sister are the a-hole here. Yeah, I get the feeling the husband's probably enjoying the attention of this younger girl. Let's go to an update. Thank you all for responding, and people who gave me good advice and personal messages. I couldn't read all the comments, but now I know my feelings are valid, and boundaries were crossed by Cindy. Now during the dinner, there was Cindy, her brother Sean, and his girlfriend, and their cousin Derek, also a good friend of my husband, with his boyfriend. So I called Derek and asked about the situation and what happened after I left. He was sympathetic and said that after I left, at first they thought I would come back after some time. However, things were really awkward, but when I didn't come, Sean's girlfriend had told Cindy that she was so disrespectful for doing that. Derek and his boyfriend also said the same thing. To this, Cindy started crying, saying that they didn't have to corner her and attack her over a silly joke, that she didn't know it would get so out of hand. She then left the room while crying. Jake didn't know what to say, and everybody left early the next day. Derek also said that Cindy has always had issues with boundaries, and when he introduced his boyfriend to everybody, Cindy would get too close and would joke that she was just checking if he was really gay. They were really uncomfortable with it as well, so Derek confronted her, to which Cindy rolled her eyes and said they can't take a joke, and eventually stopped. This all sounds so bizarre. I don't know what's going on with Cindy. Sean's girlfriend also texted me, saying she was sorry for what happened. I told him how Sean's message was inappropriate, but she had no idea about the text, so I sent her a screenshot and asked her to tell Sean to not harass me again. She was very apologetic and said she would talk to him. Now my mother-in-law called and asked what was going on, as Jake didn't tell her and only said we had an argument. I was a bit hesitant to tell, but eventually told everything. She was furious at my husband. She said they'll be coming to have a talk. So yeah, I'm just waiting for them to arrive and really nervous. I don't know if what I did was right or wrong, but we'll see. As for people saying my husband is some pedo or they're having an affair, I know this is the furthest from the truth. I never questioned his intentions, but what hurt me was the lack of respect from Cindy towards me. I mean, the lack of respect from the husband as well, right? Surely. I mean, doesn't that give you at least a little bit of a hint to his intentions? I think Opie's thinking's still a little bit off here. Okay, let's go to another update. For people who are still asking me about the update in private messages, so my mother-in-law came with my husband, and well, the talk happened. There were a lot of things, but I'll try to summarize. Basically, Jake apologized to me first and tried to explain his point of view. He said that he was angry because, A, I left without saying anything for the whole night when he was literally just trying to defuse the situation, and tried to laugh it off because it was so awkward he didn't know what else to do, but instead of communicating, I just left him in that weird situation. He was meeting his friends after such a long time, and just wanted the dinner to be peaceful, and Cindy was going back anyways, and we would most likely never meet her again. B, he acknowledged Cindy was indeed overstepping boundaries, but he didn't know how to bring it up since he has literally seen her growing up, and she is like a little sister to him. Also, she acts like that with everyone. He thought that it was just for a few days, and he wanted no drama during their stay, so he would just brush it off. He did acknowledge he was wrong about not saying anything. C. He was already really worried and sad because how I just left with no explanation. Even after I came, not once did I ask how he felt. He was also very overwhelmed with everything and felt I was accusing him for not doing anything when he literally pushed her off as politely as possible when she tried to sit. He felt I was attacking his character and even gave the ultimatum, which made him so sad as he felt as if I'd thought less of him. It wasn't about Cindy, but about how easy it was for me to question his sincerity. He said after the dinner he was going to go extremely low contact with her anyways. D. He apologized for not speaking up about the disrespect Cindy was showing towards me and for also leaving like that. Then, after Jake said everything, mother-in-law explained to Jake about the situation from her perspective. She scolded him a lot as well. In short, she told him that as a husband it was his responsibility to make me feel like I am his priority and that he disappointed me the moment I'd come to him to ask for establishing boundaries. As a husband, it was his duty that I never would have to come to him about this in the first place. She also asked him about how he would have felt had it been a guy in my lap, and he had no answer to it. She told him how what I did was an eruption of suppressed feelings, and as a husband, it was his duty to go after me and never let me leave in the first place. There were a lot of things said by her, and Jake seemed to realize and sincerely apologized for his actions. She told him if he'd ever pulled such a stunt again, then to not expect her to take him in. Later, she took me for a walk. It was just the two of us, and there she explained some things to me as well. She said that she is sorry for everything, but told her that even at her house, Jake was distraught. He didn't tell her because he most likely would know he was wrong too, but was overwhelmed about everything as well. She said that she was in no way excusing her son's behavior, but would hope that I would forgive him. She also said that in no circumstances I need to leave my house as it was my house and my family. She said I shouldn't be afraid in speaking my mind if anything makes me uncomfortable, and to talk to her if Jake does something stupid again, and she will, quote, set him straight. She hoped we work it out, since she's seen our love for each other, and it would be sad to see us split up due to some disrespectful brat, her words. She said she cannot have a say in our issues, but suggested that we should get counselling to understand each other better. She even bought ice cream for me. I know it's a bit childish, but she said sweet things work as a charm when people are upset, and well, she was right. Well, it was awkward at night. Jake came to our room and we didn't know what to say. After a while we talked and both apologized to each other. However, I did tell him that I was angry at him to tell everything to Sean and was deeply hurt by the texts he'd sent me. He said he didn't know what I was talking about, and I showed him the texts. He said he didn't tell Sean about our fight and only told him that he was at Mum's place. He called Sean, and well, it turns out Sean told Cindy and told her about how she went too far at the party. Then Cindy made a huge sob story about how I was passive-aggressive with her the whole time, how I would always try to question her character and act insecure and jealous. She even went on to say that I was always like that with her, even when she was a kid, and that I never liked her and always tried to manipulate people into thinking I was an angel while she was a hoe. Well, that made him angry to think how I'd been treating Cindy, and he sent those texts. Jake and I were baffled by such accusations, and he tried to explain to Sean how it wasn't true, but then Jake just let it be and decided to go no contact with Cindy and extremely low contact with Sean. Jake apologized again, and we just cuddled and slept. Well, Cindy is out of our lives for good now, and we've decided to go to counselling for better communication in the future. Let's see how everything goes in the future, but yeah, we're not getting divorced. I know a lot of you people wanted me to show Jake this post, but he was so sad and got scolded a lot already, so I decided to not show him for now. Maybe in the future. Sorry for all this rambling. Have a good day, people. Yeah, fingers crossed that Jake learnt his lesson, but all in all, yeah, pretty good ending there. I think that's the right thing to do to cut her out. And I like that Opie's still showing a little bit of faith in her husband, despite how he wronged her. Let me know what you guys would do in this situation. Would you give Jake another chance? Anyway, let's go to another story. Okie dokie, jumping over to the True Off My Chest subreddit. This one was written by user Flaky Artists, and it's titled, My boyfriend talked me into having a threesome with my best friend, and now I'm done. I know I'm probably going to get people yelling at me that I should have never agreed to it, and that this is my fault, But I mean, when you have your boyfriend pestering and badgering you for months, sometimes you just give into it. We had the threesome about 2 weeks ago, and I've just been, I don't know, I feel so ugly and like I'm not enough. I think I enjoyed it in the moment. I don't know, but now I'm just done. My best friend is so pretty and just everything I'm not. She's tall, blonde and athletic, has the perfect face. I love her, she's amazing. I'm short, black hair, and I'm not fat, I'm just bustier and have thick thighs. Even when I was underweight, I just look like a stick with chest and too big of an ass. I've always wanted liposuction or something, just to get rid of the excess fat. But I just keep replaying it in my head. He had so much fun with her, and even forgot about me at times. I'm just not enough for him. Now every time he messages me, I don't get excited. Or when he tries to touch or kiss me, I just shrug him off. Whenever he holds me while we're in bed, I just get nauseous. I really wish I was enough, but I just never am, because every man I'm with always wants more, wants somebody else. I'm just done and needed to vent. I'm sorry. Oh man, I hear these stories time and time again, and they never end well. I mean, I think if your boyfriend's pestering you about something like that over and over, I think it's pretty clear he just wants to sleep with someone else without the ramifications of, cheating. Let's go to some comments. Time to be single for a bit and work on yourself. You're only 18. You have enough time to do just that. Congratulations in discovering who he really is before you get more committed in the relationship. Badgering you for something he clearly didn't want to do is such a big red flag. He doesn't give a damn about you or your feelings, needs or wants. He just wanted a legitimate reason to shag your friend. How is it between you and your friend now? You are good enough, more than good enough for the right person. He is not that person. Get out now before he destroys your self-worth even further. Never measure your worth by what a man wants. You're so young, but in time you will learn. Are you and your friend both 18? Because this guy sounds real questionable. I mean, also, if anyone is badgering you for anything regarding sex, that's coercion. So yeah, I'm very happy you're leaving him. You are enough. He's just taking advantage of the fact that you're young, and maybe he preyed on your insecurities. Opie says, my best friend is 21. Well, how long have you known the two of them? And Opie says, I've known my best friend for about 5-ish years, and I've known my boyfriend since I was 17, I think. We only started dating shortly after I turned 18. One commenter asks, wait, why did she agree? Opie says, I don't know how to explain this, but she has a sex bucket list and has always wanted to have a threesome. She was iffy at first, but I think he convinced her it was okay and nothing would be different or change. Another commenter says, you wrote during the threesome your boyfriend was with your BFF more than you to the point he excluded you from the threesome. Did she do the same? Or did she try to include you? Did you guys talk about how you felt after the threesome? How is your friendship with her now? Is everything normal with her? Do you feel the dynamics have changed between your boyfriend and best friend? Like their relationship and how they interact with one another has changed as well? Is your boyfriend back to normal? Has he noticed how you've changed and how you feel about the threesome? Communication is key in a relationship, and if this keeps bugging you, it's time to move on. Well, it's a lot of questions. Opie replies, she included me more than he did to the point he got a little frustrated. She was openly trying to involve me, and he was just ignoring her. I've told her how I felt. She told me she understands why, and how she even felt a little bit weird about it afterwards. Honestly, I feel like we're okay. I mean, she's seen me naked before. I've seen her naked. Like, all that's changed is we've now been sexually intimate, but other than that, she still feels like the same old friend I've had. He's kind of become more and more infatuated with her, I guess. He's texting her more, asking me to text her from my phone for him to relay messages, talking about her moving in with us, etc. But she's blocked him and told me she doesn't feel right with the way he's behaving. He's noticed, and all he's complained about is how I haven't had sex with him since that night. He asked me if I was jealous, and when I said no, he said, okay, so why won't you touch me? So he's noticed, but he's just more upset I won't have sex with him. I know communication is important, but I've just kind of felt worried about telling him how I feel. It's stupid, I know. Okay, now for an update. I broke up with him. I found out he had another girlfriend whom he's been dating since 2020. She lives in a different city for college, the same city his sister lives in. So every time he was visiting his sister, which was weekly, he was visiting his actual girlfriend/fiancée. I was basically filling her spot until she graduated, and they're basically engaged. I'm so hurt and distraught right now. I'm staying with one of my friends. I blocked him on everything and just want to move on. I'm so freaking upset and hurt right now. I feel so ugly and used. I feel like the worst person in the world for hurting another woman. You really can't trust anybody because while he was making me all these promises of marrying me and loving me, he was doing the same to her. I really don't think I'll ever be able to fully trust another significant other after this. Thanks to all the kind commenters. I appreciate you. Oh my god, yeah, I mean, we found out the true character of this guy, if we didn't know already. I'm keeping my fingers crossed there's another update later down the line where she exposes him and tells his other girlfriend what's happening. God knows he deserves some karma after what he put these poor girls through. Today I effed up telling my ex's wife that he cheated on me 20 years later. I was going to post this on Am I the A-hole, but I really don't think I am, and even if I was, I don't care. Through a strange twist of fate, I was at a wedding this weekend with my ex-boyfriend, Buzz, and his wife, Polly. For context, we dated 20 years ago. I was 21 when we broke up and he was 26. We dated for 2 years. I was very close to his family during this time, but after the very sudden breakup, left without an explanation. This was before the era of social media. Hell, I think I might have had a Nokia I occasionally used when I remembered to buy minutes. So we couldn't instantly get in touch with people, nor did we know WTF was going on in everyone's lives. At the wedding, I see him and his entire family. I didn't realize that my friend was marrying into the family, different names, and really didn't talk to the groom much. It was a shock to everyone. I expected awkwardness at the reception, but his family was being cool to me, which was strange, but whatever. I'm not one to force myself onto someone if I'm not wanted. Important for later. Eventually, Polly is trashed and pulls me aside. She wants to thank me for leaving Buzz alone after our breakup. I'm thrown by the strange comment, but drunk people say strange things. I say, yeah, no problem. She continues to say, he was heartbroken when you cheated, but I convinced him you were just a tramp and to get over you. I laughed and said, what are you talking about? He cheated on me because I chose studying for a final instead of going out and getting drunk. I left the reception without another word to anyone on his side of the family. I went over and kissed my friend goodbye, citing a migraine, which I am prone to get. No drama. Now, family members who got my cell number from our mutual friend or found me on Facebook are messaging me like crazy. Rewind 20 years ago, when learned about the cheating the very next day from his BFF, who hated me. I called Buzz for the truth, and he said, I'm coming home now, we'll talk in a few, don't do anything stupid. That told me all I needed to know, so I got my few items I kept at his place and left before he got there. Like I said earlier, I'm not going to force myself if I'm not wanted. Buzz didn't want me, otherwise he wouldn't have done that, so why bother with waiting for the frickin' excuses? For months later, I refused to answer calls. When he came to my dorm, he was immediately denied admission and escorted out, as I had put him on a no-visitor list. He wasn't a student. Apparently, for these last 20 years, his family that loved me was told that I was a cheating tramp, and his BFF who masterminded the whole cheating setup seconded Buzz's story. Now everyone has ticked at him for hurting me and lying to them for 20 years. They're trying the full story, but I just keep saying, it's 20 years ago, it doesn't matter anymore. I'm good and Buzz is good. Some family has apologized for icing me out at the wedding and spreading the rumors. Polly, though, is freaking out. She's convinced that because he cheated on me, he'll cheat on her, and keeps calling me for more info. Our last conversation, I said that I was blocking her, and have. She tried to call me from an app through a few times, but I'm just not picking up numbers I don't know at this point. Wow, why did Buzz just have to go and lie about it? Like, he could have just said we broke up, amicably. Like, wouldn't that be enough for the family? Let's go to the comments. Man, that's a whole lot of not your frickin' problem, and I've no sympathy for Polly. Approaching and calling you a tramp over something that she had no part in that happened 20 years prior is childish behaviour. For the record, not the a-hole. What a roller coaster. I simply do not understand why he had to lie. We broke up and mutually would have solved the issue. What a jerk. The fact that Polly's totally off the board freaking out about her husband being the cheater back then and not the OP leads me to believe that she has the same problem or suspicions of her own about her and Buzz's relationship. No wonder Polly's going ape crap about the whole thing. Plot twist, what if his BFF just made up the fact that he cheated so that you would break up? You did say you never talked to him about it, you just got up and left. Lol. Okay, Opie makes some edits. Attempting to recall a conversation I had over 20 years ago where I was shaking and about to vomit all the while attempting to sound confident, it was like me. Quote, Buzz, just tell me the truth. Did you cheat on me when you went out with BFF? Buzz, sigh. And we all know what that sigh is. It's a resignation and a last-ditch attempt to get your thoughts in order. It was the sigh that told me everything I needed to know. Opie, I'm going to leave work now and we'll talk when I get home. Don't do anything stupid. I'll be right there. I love you. It is possible that Polly is who he cheated on me with. I don't know. I wish them the best, though. They've been together for at least 18 years. Buzz was not under the impression I ever cheated. I'd imagine that Buzz had to tell his family something since I disappeared so suddenly. I think he just tried to save face and his BFF was there to back up the lie. I don't know the full story of that conversation or who it was told to. I have no idea what happened to the BFF. Again, over 20 years ago, I'm more what the F than I am upset. I'm sad that his father, who I was close to, died, believing that I did that. But other than that, I don't really care. Edit 2. Okay, you guys are putting forth some excellent questions that I'm not sure about. I unblocked Polly and reached out through text. I said that I'm sorry for blocking her, but 20 years ago I was broken, and it hurts to relive that no matter how healed we are. I didn't appreciate being cornered at an already horribly awkward situation, and called that, but I can call her after work later. Edit 3, I posted an update in another post because I'm a dinosaur and don't know how to make links in Reddit. I don't know if there's a character limit. I am old. Okay, let's go to that update. We've never updated before, so I hope I did this right. So, I called Polly a little bit over an hour ago, and it's very anticlimactic. I talked to Polly, and she wanted to know dates that he was still chasing me. I told her what I could recall, and it seems that there was a few months gap between their meeting and his last attempt. I assured her that never once since social media became a thing did Buzz try to reach out to me. She said that about 6 or 7 years ago she found out that Buzz had tried to find me on Facebook by stalking some of my old friends he knew, which added to her paranoia. They went to marriage counselling and all of that. Polly was exceptionally talkative. Apparently, Buzz was a mess, went deep into alcohol and even screwed around with heroin introduced to him by none other than BFF, who OD'd a few years after all of this went down. Polly hated and was hated by BFF, and when he tried to come between Polly and Buzz a bit into their relationship, Buzz saw the best friend was a massive a-hole and went no contact. She said that she didn't mean to accost me at the wedding, but she's always been insecure about me. She was drunk, and those first years of insecurity all came back to her. She said I was prettier than her, saw pictures that he had stashed away or in family photo albums. While she always felt deformed because of a repaired cleft palate, she's very pretty and I reassured her. She said that the family was in disbelief over my very sudden abandonment, and a few times shortly into their relationship, his family would slip and call her by my name, or she'd hear them reminiscing about a family vacation I was on with them, or how good a few dishes I made were. She also said that Buzz did confirm that he cheated, followed by a bunch of excuses. I said that I really didn't care to hear what he told her. I did say that I wish him no ill will, and I'm truly glad that he settled down and found happiness, but I'm done with this. I don't want to reconnect with any family members. I don't want her calling to commiserate with his wrongdoings. I just want to return to our very separate lives. She did ask how I found the strength to just leave like that. I told her that I had an amazing role model, my mother, strong support system of family and friends, and we had no shared resources to divide, and I have a low tolerance for bullcrap. Polly was quiet and said, "Thank you." We then hung up. Of course, now I'm wondering if she's thinking Buzz is cheating on her, and that's why she asked me about strength. I blocked her again, so I'll never know. I do wish her all the best, but I'm going to return to my apathetic life. Thank you for your support, as well as some of your crazy comments. At least they gave me a giggle. I hope that every person knows their worth and has strength to do what they know has to be done. Yeah, I reckon for sure Polly's got some insecurities over her relationship with Buzz at the moment. And what's with Buzz's best friend getting in the way of all his relationships like that? He just seems like a really bad person. I mean, Opie mentioned that he OD'd or something, which is obviously terrible, but yeah, he seemed to be the crux of a lot of the problems here. But either way, Opie sounds like she's got it all sorted out. Anyway, what are your thoughts about that one? Let me know. Okay, let's go to another story. Okay, we're on the Am I the A-hole subreddit. This one was written by user Plastic T, and it's titled, Am I the a-hole for bringing my toddler on a group trip even though it made my friend upset? Me, 29 male, and my wife Angie, 27, have a son, Sam, turned 2 this week. We're part of a friend group made up of 7 people, including us. There's one more couple in this group. The other 3 are Zoe, 32, Greg, 41, and Tim, 30. Zoe doesn't like kids. She openly avoids them whenever she can. I've always known about this and have no problem with it. There have, however, been occasions in which she seemed to take it a bit too far. The friend group lives all over the country now, and most of us only get together once or twice a year. This January, we all decided to take a 5-day trip to Greg's beach house. It's in a different state and a 2-hour flight away. Both Greg and Tim have children. Greg made sure to invite us over while his kid would be with his ex, but Tim is a single father and couldn't afford to leave his daughter with a babysitter for 5 days. Due to that, it was decided that both Tim's daughter and Sam were welcome on the trip. Angie and I offered to leave Sam with my mother-in-law, but the whole group, including Zoe, said it was fine. All of these decisions were made 2 months in advance. 2 days prior to the trip, Tim informed us that his daughter had chickenpox and he had to cancel their tickets to stay with her. At that, Zoe called Angie and said, "Guess your mum will have a busy week." My mother-in-law was travelling and wouldn't be back for another week. We had no other babysitting options available or time to find one, so we told Zoe that we were still bringing Sam with us. Zoe protested, saying that she was only okay with having kids around during the trip because she knew Tim had no choice and we had no excuse to bring Sam now that Tim's daughter wasn't coming anymore, but we held our ground. The others took our side. During the trip, Angie and I made efforts to help Zoe avoid Sam as much as possible. This ended up making our own trip underwhelming as we were spending a lot of time apart and didn't get to see our friends as much as we wanted to, but it worked. Zoe and Sam were in the same room a total of 4 times, including both our arrival and departure from Greg's house. In spite of that, she insists that we ruined her trip by bringing him and that it was selfish of us to not consider her feelings about children after Tim dropped out. Zoe hasn't spoken to us since we flew back home. This week, she unfollowed Angie on Instagram 10 minutes after she made a post for Sam's 2nd birthday, so I think she's still bitter. Angie has been feeling guilty about this. I tried to reassure her we had no other option, and it was unreasonable of Zoe to ask us to change our plans at the last minute like that, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't consider we might be in the wrong. Am I the a-hole? Geez, what's Zoe's issue with kids? I mean, they make up a pretty large percentage of our population, so I'd be more inclined to tell Zoe to just suck it up and deal with it. I agree they can be annoying when you're on a camping trip or something like that and you're just trying to enjoy yourself, but it sounds like OP and his partner did every effort to keep them apart. Seems reasonable enough to me. Let's read some comments. So not the a-hole. Zoe is wildly the a-hole here. It's a strange double standard for her to be understanding that Tim had no choice, but not to be willing to extend the same courtesy to you when Tim's plans had to change. From what you describe, you also had no choice at that point. What, did she expect you to predict with your magic ball that you should have your mother-in-law on backup duty just in case Tim's plans fell through? It's so bogus. And as you said, this was all decided months ago. Zoe is strangely entitled to think she should be able to call the shots in a group like that. If she decided having a kid around wasn't her cup of tea, she should have skipped the trip. She seems to have some really negative and callous feelings towards you, and maybe you're better off moving on from her as a friend. Not the a-hole. Disliking kids is one thing, but people who make it their whole personality are so exhausting and make life needlessly difficult for parents. Zoe is so extra about her dislike of kids. If she wanted to minimize her time with kids on the trip, she should have taken you up on your offer to leave your son with your mother-in-law. She's blaming you because she said it's fine to bring your son, but she had the chance to say no and passed on it. She's pretty delusional if she thinks that 2 days before a trip starts is enough time to find someone to take care of your child for almost a week. Or maybe she's so ignorant about kids that she thinks they're like cats and can be just left at home alone. Not the a-hole. I'm not a big kid person. I'm 40, single, and have a cat. Kids are not my thing. Being in the room with a kid shouldn't ruin one's hour, much less their day or week. You also didn't have a choice. Your mother is not a slave. She's not required to put her life on hold just in case you need a babysitter. Even if she was available, you weren't obliged to leave your son with your mother. Next time Zoe complains, I'd be tempted to tell her that she has bigger tantrums than your son, and if it's appropriate for her to be there with her childish behaviour, then it's perfectly fine for an actual child to be present. Opie answers some more questions. More on plans during the trip and how the others felt. There were some group activities we'd planned for the trip. Because either me or Angie needed to stay with Sam, we were never able to both take part in them. Zoe tried to turn that into a "I told you so," but stopped when I asked what else we could have done with Sam there. The others were fine with Sam tagging along. There were multiple plans we'd made together that kids were also welcome to attend. We'd planned parts of the trip that we'd made sure to only do adult stuff, aka drinking, while the kids were asleep. One comment says, "You know what, sometimes you just can't change plans at the last minute, like pulling a trusted babysitter out of your butt when you were led to believe till 2 days before that you wouldn't even need one at all." Opie replies, "Trusted is a key word here. We have the numbers of babysitters we trust, but we never left Sam with them for more than a few hours. The only person we trust to take care of him for that long is my mother-in-law. My mum lives in a different state. Father-in-law has never spent more than 4 hours alone with the toddler, and my father is no longer with us." Sam's behaviour. I will say that Sam is very clearly a 2-year-old. He's a generally quiet kid, but he still cries, runs around, and knocks crap over the way all toddlers do. I get how all that could be a problem, and we did our best to improve the situation. He was very well behaved during this trip. Okay, yeah, I think we get the picture. Let's go to an update. Hey again, I went through your comments on my previous post as well as your replies to my own comments and managed to come to terms with the fact that Angie and I can no longer be friends with Zoe. Many of you asked why we were still friends in the first place. Well, most of the friend group has known each other since college, hence the different ages. I'm actually an outsider. I became friends with them through my wife. I know Zoe well, but she was definitely closer to Angie than to me. I don't think Reddit is the best place to describe an almost decade-long friendship in proper detail, but I will say Zoe was usually a nice and generous friend, but she started getting more and more rude as we started having kids. She basically ignored my wife during her pregnancy and made several demeaning comments after Sam was born. Angie only forgave her because she apologized, half-heartedly if you ask me. The other couple in the friend group has been trying to conceive for a few months, and she frequently jokes that they need to enjoy life while they can. She's nicer to Tim because he's a single father, but she very clearly doesn't like his daughter. So I think that everyone, myself included, is much more fond of college Zoe, and it was only because of that fondness that we still hung out. The more I read your comments, the more it became clear the group has outgrown that friendship. Looking back, I feel awful about my efforts to keep Sam and Zoe apart. My son is not toxic, and I shouldn't have treated him as such. If Zoe can't respect Sam and treat him like a human being, I have no obligation to put up with her. I spoke to Angie. She said that Zoe had always been a shoulder to cry on, but often also the reason she was crying in the first place. She told me it had been hard to accept that, but Zoe's behaviour during the trip was the last straw. We agreed to end our friendship with her. We both texted Zoe that we wished her well, but it's best that we go our separate ways. She responded by calling my wife the C word and was blocked. We later found out she'd complained to the rest of the group, plus some other mutuals, that we'd become selfish, entitled parents that let our kid ruin her vacation before cutting her off. Those who know that's not true have told us they're thinking about ending their friendships with her as well. Both Greg and Tim already have. I don't think I have anything else to add. I'll do my best to use this experience to become a better father, husband, and friend. My family is everything to me, and I'll never lose sight of that. Thank you all. Wow, there you go, that's the end of that one. Who would have known that having a kid could rapidly deteriorate a relationship with a friend so quickly? Let's read some final comments to wrap this one up. I'm child-free, but I totally don't mind hanging around young parents. I get that priorities change. The fact that we still get to spend time together at all is the important part. Zoe's going to make people choose between her and their children, then complain when it doesn't go the way she thinks it should. Presumably that will also be the child's fault as well. Having kids changes things. I tell first-time parents that you don't fit a kid into your life, you fit your life around the kid, especially in the first few years. It also can change relationships, especially with childless friends, and more so with childless friends who don't like children. Good luck to Zoe. Here's hoping she finds more child-free people with whom to socialise, since she's effectively destroyed some of her current friendships. Yeah, I agree with the sentiment of that comment before that said that the fact that we're still able to hang out with our friends, even with kids or without, is the main thing, and the most important thing. I want to divorce my husband, but everyone keeps telling me I will die alone if I do so. What is the best course of action? I, 37 female, caught my husband, 40, cheating on me with my daughter's teacher. We have 3 kids, 12 male, 9 female, and 4 female. We have been married for 15 years and together for 20 years, but recently I found out he has been cheating. I reported the teacher and separated from my husband. I served him divorce papers because cheating has always been a deal breaker for me. My husband has begged a lot, but I still didn't budge. It's been 1.5 months since I served him divorce. I've had people try to convince me to stay. I've heard numerous advice, but most common were 1. All men cheat. If I leave my husband and find a new man, the chances that he will cheat on me is still high. Better to stay with him. 2. I will be a single mum. A single mum with 3 kids have a difficult time finding a new partner. We have baggage. Besides, I'm 37. 3. I should just let him cheat because at the end of the day he still provides and pays the bills. 4. Think about your kids and how it will affect them. Divorce is always harsh on kids. And 5. I'm taking their father away from them. All these I avoided, but what struck me was what my mother said. My mum also divorced my dad when he cheated. Our dad abandoned us after the divorce was final. I barely talked to him. My mother said sometimes she wishes she didn't divorce my dad. He left us because he was angry that my mum didn't want to work things out. If she had just worked things out, I would still have a dad. Part of the reason she was single till I was 18 because she didn't want strange men to groom me and take advantage of me. She said to think about it. I have thought about this for a long time. I cannot even look at him. His face disgusts me. The last time he touched my arm, I jerked it off. I'm fine if I never date again, but I've always had abandonment issues. I think about my children and it makes me want to change my mind. But how can I stay with a man who disgusts me? We will be living like roommates. I need some insight on what's the right thing to do for me and my kids. Oh man, it's just like a lose-lose situation for OP here. Let's go to some comments. Your husband cheated with the teacher of your kids. He cares crap all about your kids. How many people at the school, including other parents, know now? The fact that he did that to your kids and has embarrassed them in such a way, even though they might not know personally, is telling enough. You don't crap where you or your kids eat. Your husband just did. Divorce him. All men cheat. Bullcrap. That's folks typically projecting their own behaviour and or experience. I'm a man, 60 plus, never cheated, never even seriously thought to do so, and can't say I've never had attractive women hit on me. Think about your kids and how it will affect them. Yes, do you want to teach them that it's fine to be a cheater? It doesn't matter because the partner will stay regardless? What else do you want to teach them? And how much crap do you want to teach them they ought to put up with from a partner? Do you want to teach your kids that banging the kid's teacher is acceptable because it wouldn't even break up a marriage? I am taking their father away. Well, his actions and consequences. You're not taking him away. He friggin' left to go bang your daughter's teacher. Dad abandoned us after the divorce. Because he's a jerk, not because of divorce. Cannot even look at him. Divorce his ass and also teach your kids to not accept nor tolerate the unacceptable. Stay the course and divorce. Not all men cheat and plenty of single mums marry again. Think about the message your kids get if you stay with a cheater and you didn't take their father away from them. He did that on his own. What happened to the teacher? If she's married, I would definitely reach out to her husband. Update me. Opie replies, she was engaged according to her social media. She was fired from her job because dating parents is strictly against the school's policy, and plus she was having an affair with a married man, so parents were concerned. What sort of people are you hanging around with? Geez, being in a happy relationship is great, but being in a bad one is far, far, far worse than being single. So you stay. What's to stop him cheating and leaving? What message does this show your kids? Why wouldn't you die alone if you did stay married? Most couples don't die on the same day. Honestly, this idea you need to be in a romantic relationship to be happy is garbage. Focus on yourself, your needs, your hobbies and your friendships, although it sounds like you need better ones. Don't waste any more time with a man who would break his vows and treat you like this. The consequences, like taking their father from the kids, are on him, not you. He can be in their lives and not in your bed. Most kids deal with divorce. They'll cope. Most adults whose parents stayed together for the kids will tell you it's far worse. The best parent is a happy parent. Now for an update. Hello everyone, just wanted to give a quick update. Recently I had my LASIK operation done on my eyes, so I wasn't available to answer all the PMs and comments. I wasn't allowed screen time for 48 to 72 hours, but thanks to all of you who opened my eyes. I was having some doubts. In my mind I was doing the right thing, but people were telling me I should reconsider. So it created a doubt whether I'm doing the right thing or not, but the comments from people has cleared it. So where are we? That's the discussion I had with my soon-to-be ex. My soon-to-be ex came to see me during my operation. I never asked him, but he still came. He took me home after my operation. Since I wasn't allowed to put pressure or dust in eyes, it made majority of the chores very difficult to do. But he did all my chores, starting from dusting, cooking and laundry. He was with me, reminding me to take my eye drops. It felt good. For once, I thought I got my husband back. But I thought about this a lot. He never did anything like this unless I asked him to. He never did my portion of the chores, even when I was sick with the flu. He's only doing this to be on my good side. I don't want someone who only acts nice only to gain something. Plus, the messages he shared with his affair partner still haunts me. It's been imprinted in my brain. I don't think doing 2 days worth of chores will make me forget the humiliation me and my kids went through because of him. So I sat him down. It's easier to talk to him wearing glasses. I told him I'm still going through with the divorce. I'm not going to take his kids away from him. He is still their dad. I can never live under the same roof. Even if I take his advice and go to counselling together, I would still never be able to let go of the fact that he cheated. Our kids don't deserve parents who resent the other. It's better we part our ways and continue as a co-parent. I did suggest counselling as a family so that we can be the best co-parents, but as far as being married, that's out of the question. He can resent me all he wants, but he still has to be there for the kids. He agreed, although I can see the sadness in his eyes. He said sorry for everything that he has done. He opened up about his affair, that he just thought it would be great, because we got so stuck in our mundane lives that the affair was an escape, but he didn't realise what he was losing. He blocked his affair partner and ended his relationship with her. He acknowledges that not only did he destroy his marriage, but also ruined her career. He also stooped so low in his kids' eyes. He also said he'll never date again. I told him to not make promises he knows he cannot keep. Another problem we're facing now is our kids. My oldest son knows what's happening. Apparently the rumours have reached his school. The teacher taught my middle child, so she also knows. My son is not talking to his dad. He even refuses to eat the meal he cooked and has been living on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. My other kids followed his lead. He refuses to talk to my soon-to-be ex, and it hurts him. I even caught him crying 1 to 2 times. I can understand what my kids are going through. I don't want them to hate their dad. He's a crappy husband, but a great dad. I don't know what to do with them. If you have suggestions, please let me know. Also, I cannot reply to all the comments because I'm only allowed 30 minutes of screen time every 2 hours, but I'll read the comments once I'm fully recovered. Yeah, obviously it's a bit rough for old mate, but honestly, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. And he's learning it the hard way. Can't say he didn't deserve it. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts about this one. Let me know down below. Anyway, on to another story. Okay, jumping over to the Off My Chest subreddit, this one was written by user SafeCap, and it's titled, "My husband almost killed our baby, and my toddler saved him." Hey Reddit, I need to share this story because I'm still shaking from what happened. I'm 25, female, and been with my husband, 30, since 2018. We have a 3-year-old girl and a newborn boy. But tonight, things almost took a turn for the worse. My husband has always had trouble paying attention, but I never thought it would come to this. Our neighbourhood is weirdly laid out, with cars zooming by at crazy speeds at all hours of the day. I was folding clothes when I heard our toddler screaming, "Dad, help!" That tone made me drop everything and sprint outside. What I saw made my blood run cold. Our newborn is in his stroller, careening towards the busy street. I screamed and ran to him, barely stopping the stroller in time. My baby girl's hands and knees were scratched up because she tripped trying to run after the stroller. I snatched up my baby, heart pounding, and scanned for my husband. He wasn't watching. He was chatting with neighbours, completely oblivious. The anger I felt was unlike anything I've ever experienced. I stormed up to him, shouting in disbelief. He looked shocked at first, then realised what almost happened. The apologies and tears came pouring out, but it was too late. I couldn't wrap my head around how he could be so careless, so blind to our toddler's screams and the stroller rolling away. I packed up the kids and left, staying with my parents. They're on my side, but my husband keeps texting, begging forgiveness, calling it an honest mistake. But I can't shake the terror of almost losing my baby because he couldn't focus for a single second. My baby girl got hurt in the process because he couldn't pay attention. I almost lost my son because he couldn't pay attention. I can't stop crying. I feel so guilty. I wish this all never happened. Sorry it's short. I just want to hold my babies and I can't stop shaking every time I think about it. What if I was just 1 second late? Would I have been planning a funeral? And the reason I left the house instead of him was because I hate that house. I don't feel like it's safe for the kids with all the traffic. And I was right. It's my husband's workhouse. I can't be running either. I had a C-section less than 6 weeks ago. A lot of people are saying why I wasn't watching the kids. I was doing their laundry like a parent. So he takes them for walks to have bonding time with them. He literally created this by himself. This has never happened before. How was I supposed to know? And people saying why didn't I get him checked out? I'm not his mother. He's 30 years old. I'm sick of people acting like I have to parent my own husband while I literally have a newborn and a toddler and I'm still healing from a C-section that I teared my stitches from when I ran to get my baby. I don't care if it was his ADHD. The court wouldn't care either. If he killed my child, he would have went to prison either way. Yeah, gee, I'd be mad too. That kid came real close to something really bad happening. Let's go to some comments. Okay, he was 100% wrong, and I'd be livid just like you. However, I'm a little confused at the situation. Like, why was your baby just in a stroller unattended? Why did the stroller randomly go into the road? Since it sounds like you were at home, is this maybe something you'll normally do just to have a place for the baby to sit out front of your house when your toddler is playing outside? And maybe it was a freak accident. I'm going to be honest as a mum. Most of us have stories of near-death experiences with our kids. We can be naive and stupid and expect a little child to have more awareness or survival skills than they do. When my son was 2, we had a horrible experience with an escalator, and I still have times where I can't sleep because of it. We are all idiots when it comes to parenting, because how can you know until you live it? And seriously, like every parent has one of these moments, unless you're one of those insanely lucky ones. I still really don't understand the whole scenario of what happened, but to me it seems like he really has remorse and feels terrible, and once you go through something like that, you will never forget it. So if he cares and loves your kids, he's devastated and has learned a hard lesson. I don't know that your response was the best, but get why you did it in the moment. But I think you guys have a serious talk and maybe look into moving if possible. I wouldn't go straight to divorce like Reddit loves to preach. I think there is a solution here, and so sorry you're dealing with this. It's literally the worst feeling in the world. Hope he replies, "Hi love, let me just clear it up for you. So I was sitting inside in the lounge room, and there's a huge window behind the TV that was a little open, so I could hear outside. That's when I heard my toddler scream for her dad to help. When I was outside, he was standing on the neighbour's driveway. I assumed that he must have had left the baby literally on the road, because there was no possible way that it would have rolled off like that, and my toddler was playing with the neighbour's cat before she noticed her brother was rolling away when I confronted him about it. He tried to explain, but he just kept stuttering. I still don't know what exactly happened. I don't know if he didn't put the brakes on the stroller, if the wind blew him away. I just don't know. My neighbour contacted me and had asked if I wanted the security footage because his wife is 100% on my side, so I'll probably find out once it gets sent to me. I want to acknowledge that this is a horrific situation, but saying I don't care if it was his ADHD isn't going to fix anything and will probably only make things worse. Talking and thinking about it like he intentionally tried to kill your child isn't either. With ADHD, you actually do not register things like this at all sometimes. Life expectancy for those of us with ADHD is actually significantly lower because many of us end up, often accidentally, killing ourselves. It's not the same thing as carelessness, but learning about ADHD a little deeper can help you guys be safer. Understanding how my ADHD works and using different than standard precautions like my brain needs has actually most likely saved my life. Lie out what you want from him. That's probably that he gets his ADHD better under control, whether that be through prescription medication or more homeopathic methods, that you can get a different place if possible, that he not take your kids out in the front yard without you, etc. Also, neither he or the neighbour noticed, but you heard your kid from inside. Something seems off here. Were your neighbours just watching the stroller roll towards the street? Was your husband on the other side of your house where he couldn't see the stroller? Were you already walking outside as this unfolded? I'm trying to understand better what was going on here and why your husband or the neighbour did not notice, but you did from inside. People with ADHD tend to be incredibly good and quick to act in emergency situations, so this is especially weird. I'm absolutely not accusing you of leaving anything out or anything, but asking you to think about what your husband and the neighbour were doing that neither noticed. That smells fishy. This is a horrible situation. I lost a pet due to the inattentiveness of ADHD, but I can't imagine losing or even nearly losing a child. Opie replies, "That's why I'm waiting for the footage. It doesn't make sense how this all happened. I don't know how to explain my house. There's a huge window in the lounge room and it was open a little, so I can listen out. The neighbour's house is 2 houses away and we're at the end of the street near the main road. When you first walk into my house on your left, there is the lounge and on the right the kitchen, and when I got up I couldn't run that fast because I'm still healing. Sorry if this doesn't make sense. When I ran outside, the neighbour's wife was running for the stroller but was still far away, and the neighbour was helping my little girl off the road. That's all I saw. I'm just waiting for a response from them. My husband was just standing there, hands on his head, doing nothing." I frickin' screamed when I read what happened. Are you okay? Like, did you get any more damage to yourself? You literally just had a baby. What the F was your husband doing? Like, being outside with small children, especially on a busy street, should be treated like watching babies swim because anything can happen in an instant. I hope you're okay. And also, I don't know, but do you have cameras in your house? I wonder how long your husband was talking to the neighbour. Opie says, "I tore my stitches from the C-section and had to go to the ER while I was there. I made sure my baby girl got her knees and hands bandaged up. The crazy thing is, I didn't even realise I was bleeding, and until I was in my parents' car. My mum pointed it out. She panicked and took baby boy back to their house, and my dad took me and my daughter to the hospital." Yeah, I'm kind of with the first comment on this one. I can totally understand why Opie was livid about the situation, and there probably are some harsh words that she needs to say to the husband, but like that comment pointed out, these things tend to happen. I bet you and almost everyone you know has a quote-unquote near-death experience from your childhood that you can kind of remember, and once they do happen, you definitely don't forget them, and I think the husband here is definitely in that camp. Or I guess she could get the footage back and it could be total inexcusable neglect. Anyway, let's see. Update time. The neighbour's wife sent me the footage, and I really can't just wrap my head around it. So my husband was walking with the stroller, and my toddler was in front of them when they passed the neighbour's house. My neighbour was outside washing his car, and my toddler saw his pet cat and stopped to go pet it. So my husband stopped and left my baby on the road. He didn't even bother locking the wheels and walked all the way up to the driveway, not even bothering to look back at the baby. He had his back facing him for about 5 minutes before the stroller just suddenly started moving. I think it's because the road is on a hill, kind of, or it could have been the wind. My toddler never went near the stroller, it couldn't have been her. The stroller went down the road, and my toddler, that's when she started screaming and running for it when she saw it. The neighbour started running after my daughter when she tripped, and he tried to pick her up, and that's when the neighbour's wife's car comes into frame, and she stops and starts running back to the way the stroller is coming. After that, you can't really see anything because it's all out of frame, but you can hear all the commotion. My husband just stood there the whole time, hands on his head with a blank stare on his face. He didn't even do anything when our toddler was crying from hurting herself. He only started crying when I confronted him. What do? I genuinely don't know what to do. I'm panicking. This was never the life I wanted for my kids. I don't understand why he was standing there. I've not even gotten a text or a call from him since I got sent the video. It's just been silent. I just can't get the sound of my daughter's screams out. That's the sound that no mother wants to hear. I can't explain in the moment, but it felt like my blood went cold, and I just felt pure fear. I never want to watch the footage again. Whew, I guess we're going with option B, inexcusable neglect. I mean, the fact that it happened is one thing, but also the fact that he just stood there and didn't do anything while he was watching it all happen? Yeah, that's a lot harder to forgive. Shout out to the sister though, she very well probably saved her brother's life. Would I be the a-hole for asking my fiancée to remove someone as a bridesmaid because of something she said while inebriated? I'm lucky enough to be engaged to the woman of my dreams. She's perfect in every way, and the wedding is currently scheduled for next June. Right now, along with my fiancée, I have a very close friend living with us. She was my roommate in college and basically family. 5 months ago, she found out she was pregnant when she was told her entire life it was impossible for her to have kids. She was ecstatic, but her boyfriend, in case it comes up, he was also my roommate and basically family, wasn't, and begged her to have an abortion. Basically, she thought she'd never have another chance, but they were absolutely not in any position to raise a kid at the moment. Their relationship got very strained, and she ended up having a miscarriage. 1 week after, she found out her boyfriend was having an emotional affair with a co-worker. They broke up, and she ended up also getting into a massive fight with her family. Obviously, I moved her into my place ASAP, and while she was definitely struggling for a while, I'm glad to say she seems to be slowly healing. A few nights ago, my fiancée had some of her friends over, all of which are bridesmaids. My friend joined them, and all of them ended up getting pretty drunk. My fiancée falls asleep pretty fast when she's drunk, so I carried her up to our room and tucked her in so I could take care of everyone else. My friend at that point had started drinking really heavily and looked kind of sick, so I walked her up to her bathroom and held her hair for about 20 minutes while she puked. When I figured she had enough out of her system, I left her to go check on the other girls and get them home. I was walking down the steps and heard one of her friends make a comment about me helping my friend up, quote, because I wanted to get in her pants. The other girls around her immediately told her off. They're all aware of my friend's situation, by the way, and I just stood obstructed on the stairway, trembling in anger. I managed to calm down temporarily, come down and send them all home in Ubers. I'd offered to drive them before, but in all honesty, I felt so angry I did not want to be in that position. 3 days later, and I'm still angry. I genuinely don't ever want to be in the same room as this woman ever again, let alone have her 8 feet away as I say my vows. I haven't told my fiancée any of this yet, but I was planning to do so tomorrow as well as request her friend at least be removed from having a role, if not flat out be uninvited to the wedding. So, would I be the a-hole for asking to remove her for something she said when she was drunk? I feel like that's pretty dependent on the individual and how much you let a comment like that actually get to you. Personally, I wouldn't care if someone said that. I mean, I know what some personalities are like when they're drunk, and honestly, I can think of a dozen people who would say stuff like that offhand without actually meaning it. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? Let's go to some comments. I don't know, if my fiancé said he wanted to ban a close friend from attending the wedding over a drunken comment like this, it would set off alarm bells immediately. It comes off as really defensive regarding you and your friend's relationship. I think if you talk to your fiancé about how that comment hurt you, it would be fine, because those feelings are totally valid. But to go so far and say you want the friend removed is extreme in my opinion. You would be the a-hole. Not the a-hole, but please communicate with your fiancé and tell her why exactly do you want the bridesmaid out. But also perhaps you and your fiancé should talk with your fiancé's friend to perhaps understand the situation. Other comment mentioned about it stirring up more drama, but you shouldn't have to suffer on the great day just to make other people happy. And if you suspect that the friend might cause drama for being removed as a bridesmaid, not only uninvite her from your wedding, but also remove her from your life, because that comment is something quite serious and unfunny. Quote, I heard one of her friends make a comment about me helping my friend up because I wanted to get in her pants. It's a drunken remark, albeit in very poor taste. Quote, the other girls around her immediately told her off, and I just stood obstructed on the stairway trembling in anger. Why are you still so angry 3 days later? It sounds like the others recognized she was being a total idiot. It's up to you if you talk to your fiancé. It's your wedding. Yeah, I tend to agree. It does come off as defensive. Opie makes an edit. Edit. Quite a few comments on this now, so I want to address a few points. 1. First, my fiancée and her friends do not have problems with alcohol. My girl is a lightweight and none of her friends will black out drunk or anything that far. The only person who puked was my friend. Passing out because you drank too much and falling asleep after having a couple of drinks are two entirely different things. Okay, I really got to spill that out here because this is getting freaking ridiculous. Every girl not living in my house had 3 to 4 drinks that night. Enough that none of them were getting behind the wheel, but not enough that they were all massively hammered and completely out of control. My fiancé had maybe 3 drinks and fell asleep 30 minutes after. Not passed out, not blacked out, just fell asleep. My friend was the only one who drank heavily, easily the equivalent of 6, maybe a couple more at most. 2. At absolutely no point have I ever indicated I was going to take action or demand, my particular wording was request above, not demand, before talking to my fiancé about the whole story and the issue. I now intend to talk to the bridesmaid as well before I request anything. 3. I understand I'm being a little overly sensitive. The reality is this whole situation has been harsh and crappy for everyone involved. In particular, I know I've been very defensive of my friend given her current situation with her family, and it's entirely possible some of this anger towards the bridesmaid was redirected from things my friend's sisters have said and done to her in recent history. All this being said, there is absolutely positively nothing more between me and my friend besides a deeply platonic relationship. I do not have romantic or sexual feelings to my friend at all, nor am I insecure about society telling me I can't have women friends without wanting to sleep with them. I'm just worried about my friend who's still in a pretty bad place and feel very insulted someone would insinuate I would be taking advantage of her in such a state. And 4, she has not been living with us for 5 months. She found out she was pregnant 5 months ago. Her miscarriage happened approximately 2 months ago, and she moved into my place about 2 weeks after that. Opie answers some more comments. Would you consider talking to that friend and telling her how it made you feel? How has the relationship between you two been? Opie says, honestly, I've thought about it, but I definitely would need to wait a little longer as I'm still seeing red. Relationship has been fine before. I'm not especially close to her as I am with some of my fiancé's other friends, like her maid of honor, but we've never been on bad terms. I'd say friendly. It was worded as a joke, but her tone was accusatory. Maybe I won't rush into banning her until I at least talk to her. Another comment says, talk to your fiancé first. Well, to clarify, before I made this post, my intent was to talk to my fiancé about all of this first, before moving on to the actionable part. After the first few comments, I've decided to also talk to the bridesmaid one-on-one as well, before I ask for action. At the very least, I'm not making any decisions without talking to my fiancé. Why did it make you so mad when it was just a foolish remark from a drunk person? Because even as a foolish remark from a very drunk person, the insinuation I would take care of someone I consider to be my family to sexually assault them was incredibly insulting to me and super insensitive to my friend's situation. I'll admit after a lot of reflection from the comments on this post, I'm definitely redirecting anger from other things transpiring in my friend's life, but it still doesn't make what she said okay in the absolute slightest. But I'm definitely of the opinion that I should have a conversation with both my fiancé and bridesmaid before I request any action to be taken. And we both have friends who make edgy jokes that cross the line sometimes. Not a single other person has ever insinuated some dumb crap like this. Another commenter said, ever think her friends voiced how your girlfriend really feels? Very few women are going to be cool with what looks like their significant other fawning over someone else. Why did you need to be the one to pick up the pieces after the miscarriage? Why did she need to move in with you? Why are you some other woman's main support system? Dude, her drunk friends voiced what I guarantee they've sober talked about as a group often. You're as invested in your friend more than most men are in their wives. Opie replies, fawning over someone else? I was making sure she didn't drown in her own vomit, not swooning like Bugs Bunny seducing Elmer Fudd. After her ex, I'm her closest friend and she's one of mine. She had nowhere else to go and I'm in a financial situation that having her live with us, paying for the extra food and all that, makes zero financial impact on me. I'm not picking up the pieces. I'm a human being with basic frickin' empathy, something based on this comment you clearly lack. And I'll remind you, the rest of the group pulled her up immediately, not me. I actually want you to know that I've already been DM'd vile things from this post already. I've had a bunch of other comments that suck too, but nothing here has made me as upset reading as what you put. Also, the decision to move her in was obviously discussed with my fiancé before we did it. It was a choice we were both more than happy to do for her. Did you decide this without your fiancé's input? Have you been living together long? Opie says, yes, my fiancé and I have been living together for over a year. My fiancé did agree. We had a long discussion prior, and especially given her situation, my fiancé was more than happy to do this. In all honesty, we don't know how long she'll stay. We both believe in letting her live here, as long as she needs to get back on her feet, given she's basically lost everything important to her. My fiancé and I agreed we would talk about it if it ends up being longer than 6 months, but even she said she'd genuinely be fine if she had to stay longer. How is your fiancé's relationship with your friend? Well, it's actually really good. They were close friends before the pregnancy and had a friendship outside of the person engaged to my best friends and vice versa. Moving her in was a mutual choice with a long discussion beforehand. Okay, let's go to an update. So after I posted last time, it became pretty clear that regardless of if I was overreacting or not, I had to talk to my fiancé immediately. So I went to talk to my fiancé about what I heard, and it turns out she knew about what was said literally the morning after. The whole friend group pulled up the bridesmaid who really had just intended to make a crass joke and was actually unaware of most of my friend's predicament. No one knew I heard it, so she only ended up apologizing to my fiancé and telling her she legitimately didn't mean offense nor thought in any way I was cheating on her. I told my fiancé everything, showed her the post, told her how it felt to be accused like that, and long story short, she got the friend to come over ASAP. There was a ton of apologies going around. I admit I overreacted to a comment and took it to mean the absolute worst way possible. Didn't make the comment in any way not horrible, and she did apologize profusely for how it came across, but by the end of it, we were all good. I thought that would be it, but Bridesmaid and the rest of the group actually went significant steps forward. My friend will hang out with people who come over, but in all honesty she doesn't leave the house, not that I blame her. The bridesmaid has taken charge along with the rest of the group, and they've all made surprise plans for them and my friend to do things my fiancé thinks everyone, especially my friend, will enjoy. In all honesty, I felt very slighted the past half week. I wasn't sure how this situation would be resolved in a way that I'd be able to forgive this person for what they've said, but taking her own time and money to make someone I care about who's suffering feel better is so much better than anything I could have imagined. Also, she brought cookies, and being angry and holding on to anger makes you really hungry, so yeah, we're incredibly square. Thank you to those who legitimately criticized me. Edit, just realized I technically never said it. Bridesmaid is still bridesmaid. Edit 2, bridesmaid even did something super sweet for my puppy. My dummy son was extremely upset I ate all the chocolate chip cookies without offering him a bite because I like him alive, and R2 played her so bad she dropped off a puppuccino for him this morning. And now for a final comment from OP about being called the a-hole in the original post. Honestly, whether I agree or disagree with being called the a-hole, I was definitely a little bit in the wrong for not trying to nip this in the bud. I should have talked to my fiancé as soon as this happened and resolved the situation then, instead of stowing in my anger for a few days. In the end, I ended up being angry for longer than had to be done, so ultimately only I really lost out, so I'm genuinely alright with being called the a-hole on the last post, even if the situation was not 100% on me. I do want to add, the voting was definitely skewed by idiots. I had quite a few people comment "you're the a-hole" because they wanted to call everyone, me included who didn't drink, alcoholics, because they couldn't fathom drinking 3 to 4 drinks in a night hanging out. I also got a ton of "you're the a-holes" from people who are absolutely incapable of either basic reading comprehension or just reading the whole damn post. The amount of comments and the frickin' New York Post article that said "you're the a-hole, she's been living with you for 5 months" was depressingly high. And like I said in the post and clarified in an edit I made 1 hour in, she found out she was pregnant 5 months ago. She moved in with me about a month and a half ago. I literally made it as clear as possible multiple times, and people still couldn't understand it. Now for a response from OP to someone who said he needs to keep an eye on the bridesmaid because she did mean something nefarious. She explained it. She was drunk, had the thought pop in her head, and just said it. I talked to my little brother while I was trying to figure out how to respond to all of this, and besides calling me hot-headed, he said something I really thought about when forgiving her. Quote, "Your first thought is what you're conditioned to think. Your second thought is what you actually believe." In my opinion, her second thought was what she showed me in her apology. Her first thought was dumb. She thought it would be funny and said it without filtering or thinking how it would be perceived to others, especially given she did not have all pertinent information. When she apologized for everything, she told me she's never once actually questioned my faithfulness to my fiancé. She definitely never thought I would be capable of sexual assault, even if that's not how she meant her comment. She told me she considered me a friend and hoped that despite this, if I could forgive her, I would consider her one back. These to me are the words of someone whose second thought, her true feelings, are not reflected in her idiot comment. That's why she and I are good. Okay, and that's the end of that one. Yeah, I'd say a pretty sensible ending there, and I have to agree with OP. I really don't think she meant anything nefarious like those comments suggested. I mean, we all know Reddit comments by this point, they always jump to extremes. But yeah, there were some next level ones on this one for some reason. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. I know my comment section's a little bit more sensible than Reddit, so I definitely value your opinions. Anyway, on to another story. Okay, well, on the same subreddit, this one was written by user CatOwn, and it's titled, "Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay for my friend's wedding because she uninvited me?" Okay, so here's the deal. My friend, let's call her Sarah, and I have been tight since high school. We've been through everything together. Breakups, makeups, you name it. So when she got engaged, I was over the moon for her. Fast forward to a few months before the wedding. Sarah sends out the invitations, and I'm psyched to RSVP. But then, out of nowhere, she texts me saying that she's had to cut down the guest list due to budget constraints, and unfortunately, I didn't make the cut. I was devastated. I get that weddings are expensive and all, but to uninvite me after we've been friends for so long? Ouch. Fast forward again to the wedding day. I see all these photos on social media, and it looks like a fairy tale. But here's the kicker. Sarah texted me later that week asking for money to help cover the costs of the wedding. Apparently they went over budget, and she's asking all the guests who didn't attend to chip in. I was floored. Not only did she uninvite me, but now she expects me to foot the bill for a wedding I didn't even get to go to. I told her no way. I refused to pay a single dime. But now she's saying I'm being selfish and unsupportive. Am I the a-hole here, Reddit? Or is Sarah out of line for expecting me to pay for her mistake? Is this a joke? There's no way she's the a-hole. Who sends receipts to people that you didn't even invite to your wedding? This is crazy. Opie adds some more info. More context, this happened about a week ago and I tried talking to her about it again. She relented that the two have been having financial struggles and this time she respected me not wanting to pay for her wedding. However, she still wants me to consider helping out in other ways, like pitching in for the honeymoon or contributing to further expenses. I appreciate that she's acknowledging her financial difficulties, but it still feels like she's trying to guilt-trip me into footing the bill for her wedding in some form or another. I'm torn because on one hand, I want to be supportive and help her out during a tough time, but on the other hand, I can't shake off the feeling that I'm being taken advantage of. Yeah, no crap you're being taken advantage of. Let's go to some comments. Not the a-hole, and I hope you know you are. I would stop this friendship entirely. Send her a few laughing emoticons and gifs and then block her. One of the tackiest things I've ever heard. OP replies, "Thank you for your support and understanding. It's been a rollercoaster of emotions dealing with this situation. To add a bit more context, Sarah and I had always been there for each other, so her decision to uninvite me really caught me off guard. I tried to rationalize it, thinking maybe she was under a lot of stress or pressure to cut costs, but it still hurt nonetheless. I don't want to cut her off as she helped me through some tough times. Is there anything else I can do in this situation?" Okay, a reality check please. Who, being an adult and in their right mind, expects other people to pay for their luxuries? Mind you, a wedding, guests, honeymoon, whatever, it's not a necessity, it's a luxury. You have to budget, and if you can't budget, why the hell should other people pay for that? Would she have paid for your vacation so you can have some fun because you're tired from work? No? What's the difference? That's just crazy. She shows you zero respect and zero care for your feelings, and just trying to use and guilt trip you. And she literally threw you out of her wedding, and still feels it's okay to ask you for money. Like you're a doormat, that's just a-hole behaviour. It's very selfish to care about your well-being instead of catering to other people's expensive wants, yes. You may tell her you're very selfish and you shouldn't be friends. Opie replies, "Thank you for your reality check. You're absolutely right. Expecting others to pay for luxuries like weddings and honeymoons is unreasonable, especially when it comes at the expense of someone's feelings and boundaries. It's been a tough pill to swallow, realizing that Sarah may not value our friendship as much as I thought she did. The fact that she uninvited me from her wedding and then tried to guilt-trip me into covering expenses feels like a betrayal of trust. I've come to realize that I need to prioritize my own well-being and not allow myself to be taken advantage of. It's clear that Sarah's behavior is selfish and disrespectful, and I shouldn't feel obligated to cater to her expensive wants at my own expense. It's going to be hard, but I think it's time to reevaluate this friendship and set some boundaries moving forward. Your words have given me the clarity and confidence to stand my ground. Thank you for your support." Geez, I'm just surprised it took this long for Opie to realize. Like, they say it's clear, yet they still have to go to Reddit to ask about this? Crazy. Okay, on to an update. Since my last update, there have been some significant developments. Sarah saw the post and confronted me. Things got heated. There was yelling, emotions ran high, and in the end I made the difficult decision to go no contact with Sarah. While it was a tough choice to make, I realized that the toxicity in our relationship had reached a point where it was no longer healthy for either of us. Despite my initial hopes for reconciliation, it became clear that certain underlying issues in our friendship needed to be addressed and resolved before any meaningful progress could be made. Going no contact was not a decision I made lightly, but rather one born out of necessity for my own well-being and mental health. It's never easy to distance yourself from someone you care about, but sometimes it's necessary for personal growth and healing. I want to thank everyone once again for their support and encouragement throughout this journey. Your words have been a source of strength and comfort during a challenging time in my life. Moving forward, I'm focused on prioritizing self-care and surrounding myself with positive influences. While it's sad to say goodbye to a friendship that once meant so much to me, I'm hopeful that this decision will ultimately lead to greater happiness and fulfillment in the long run. Thank you all for being a part of my story and for your unwavering support. Sorry, no laughing or clown emojis. Okay guys, and that's the end of that one. Finally, Opie sees the light. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts about that one. Would I be wrong to post my cheating boyfriend's OnlyFans videos in our joint family group chat? So, I, 24 female, have been with my boyfriend, 25, for 6 years. 6 years we have built a life together, grown together, done everything together. He recently had to move away for a job, and I felt uneasy about the move. He also happened to make friends with a girl, 20s. I guess you can see where this is going. I felt uncomfortable with their friendship from the start. We have argued about her. I've made him unfollow her. I've gone through their messages, and the whole time he has gaslit me, called me controlling, and painted me as insane and insecure to both our families. It has caused great emotional distress to me, and strained my relationship with his mother, which used to be great. Through all his gaslighting, I even went to therapy to understand why I felt so awful about him being friends with this girl. Whether it was unresolved issues around the move, the physical distance between us, the fact that she sort of looks like another girl who had caused problems for us, etc. I don't know. My boyfriend is also very good looking and very much into training, has a very chiseled body and gets a lot of attention, etc. I also get a lot of attention, but I'm more of a private person and go out less, so I get it nowhere near as much as him, despite us being comparatively equal, looks-wise. So after 2 months of therapy, I get a DM on Instagram. It's a throwaway or alt account, no followers, and it's a screen recording of this girl's OnlyFans. Didn't even know she had an account. It's not under her real name or attached to any of her socials, but I can see her face and know it's her. And she's doing content with my boyfriend. His face isn't in it, but I know his body. I know what he looks like, the noises he makes, the way he does stuff. I've been with him for 6 years. There's a video of her giving him head, a video of her taking back shots, a bunch of lewds and nudes of both of them, a bunch of graphic pictures of facials, just so much stuff. All in all, it's like a 7-minute long screen recording. No message was sent with it, just the recording. I have no idea who it was, or why they sent it. The OnlyFans account is only a month old. He moved away the start of January. I don't know how long they've been having sex for, or how the F they progressed to doing OnlyFans together, but it's insane. 6 years thrown away for a girl he's known for a few months, and to do it in such an egregious way, to be blatant enough to film himself and put it on the frickin' internet. It's disgusting. Painting me out to be insane, making me go to therapy, ruining my reputation within both our families. The whole time he's been frickin' lying and filming himself cheating on me. He has spent more money than usual, going away, travelling, partying, going to restaurants with his new friends, buying designer clothes, etc. I was under the impression he was working a lot, but nope, probably just got some extra cash doing frickin' porn with some frickin' tramp. I hate him so much. He's a piece of crap. I hate what he did to me and us. I want to just post the screen recording in our joint family group chat. Let them all know I'm not frickin' crazy. He's just a frickin' piece of crap. I don't know if this is revenge porn. I mean, it's already on the internet, posted willingly. I don't even know if I care. I want him to suffer. I want him to hurt. To feel humiliated. I frickin' hate him. Edit to add. I'm going to bed, and as it's been said 1,000 times, I'm just going to let you all know. I googled it, and under law where I live, it isn't under the umbrella of revenge porn, as it was willingly posted to the internet by him himself. It is considered copyright infringement at worst, but is a civil matter, not criminal. And even then, I didn't actually leak the content. Whoever sent it to me did. He might be able to get me on copyright laws, but like I said, that would be a civil matter. The worst I'd get is a fine, if even that. Still, I'll see how I feel in the morning. Oh man, what a horrible thing to find out. I mean, I personally wouldn't post something like that to a family group chat, especially if they think you're already crazy. I mean, regardless of the content and what it proves, they'll still think you're pretty crazy for posting something like that. I think it's worth just to tell everyone, and, if they press the matter or they still don't believe you, then maybe just send it to them individually. I don't know. As long as it's not breaking any laws, of course. Let's go to some comments. I wouldn't do it. I would tell them he's cheating and doing porn and you have proof. If he denies it and they want the proof, then I would send it, but just to blast it in the group chat isn't cool to your family. It sucks, but good guys don't do what he did. You're free, and you didn't get married or have kids with him. It hurts, but you dodged a bullet, and he lost his amazing girlfriend. He's trash, but she didn't take your man. She took your problem. Don't post the video, just tell in the group chat that you know about the OnlyFans, and if he tries to deny, tell you have the video, then end the relationship, cut ties with his family, and go live a happy life. I don't think you're a piece of crap, you're just extremely hurt and feel betrayed. Sharing the porn video would be a mistake in my opinion, but letting the family know about it wouldn't. Just tell him he's been making porn and cheating on you and cut all ties. Sorry you're going through this, but no, I wouldn't post it. No family members on either side need to actually see that. If I received that about my son, even though I would agree he's wrong, I'd be disgusted that a girl who I thought I liked would subject me to it. It would be like lowering yourself to prove your point. You don't need to do that. You've been wronged and you have every right to speak up about it though. Instead, I might write in the chat that you've terminated the relationship and the reason is that you received an explicit sex video of him and his new friend, which confirmed your original unease. Due to his infidelity, along with the fact that he has no problem selling that kind of filth for cash and for the world to see, you could never be with someone with no respect for themselves, their partner, or their families. This way, they get the info, they know you have a copy of it, even though I guarantee no one will want to see it. This is your proof. Take the high road and move on. You deserve better. Yeah, exactly what I think. Some good advice there. Let's go to an update. Some relevant info. 1. Did you ever have any idea he had cheated? I had no idea he cheated, ever. I had one girl he used to work with at his last job, the one who looks like she could be a twin of this current girl, message me and claim she was effing him. But she had literally no proof, not a single text, not a photo, not a screenshot, not a phone call record, not a single person willing to corroborate what she said. He had a plethora of work colleagues telling me the girl was obsessed with him and a little crazy, and most likely lying. I chose to believe my boyfriend of, at the time, 5 years. She ended up quitting work and moving 80 plus miles away with her reputation in ruins, and everyone at their job treating her like she had the plague. That poor woman was probably looking out for me, and I was so horrible to her. 2. This all happened very quickly. How did you get a therapist so soon? I had already had a therapist, who I'd been with for 3 years. I felt like I was in a good place mentally to say goodbye to her in December. I got back in touch in mid-January when I felt my mental health deteriorating again. I honestly have no idea if I'm actually severely mentally ill or if I've just been psychologically tortured by this piece of human crap. 3. You seem a little unhinged. You're sure you're not crazy? I've always had some mild OCD, as well as fairly bad anxiety, hence me going out much less than him. That is what he used to paint me as insane. When I say he gaslit me, I meant it in the purest definition of the word. He literally used my history of mental suffering to paint me as literally insane. Oh, it's your OCD. You're ruminating about this girl. Your anxiety is getting really bad. It's just because I'm not around. Stuff like that. 4. Why would you want to subject his family to that? I don't. I wasn't thinking clearly. I was in pain. I've never felt rage like that. It would have been wrong, even if he deserved it, which he absolutely did. F him. They did not. 5. How can you be certain she knows about you? She could also be a victim. LOL. LMAO even. No. She's a frickin' piece of crap, home-wrecking tramp who deserves the worst. I'm listed as in a relationship with him on his social media, which she follows. She purposefully did not accept my own follower requests, probably because she's been posting him there too. Oh, and I also found her Twitter, which isn't private, and she's been liking tweets about sneaky links and that sort of stuff for around a month now, which was fueling my instincts. 3 days ago she liked a tweet saying, "Why is sex so much better when it's with someone it's not supposed to be with?" She is a literal effing tramp, and proud of it. Update. So I slept on it. I woke up about 2 hours ago to him posting holiday pictures in the family group chat right now. I had my suspicions, but I got my cousin to follow the girl on Instagram. She is private, and she just so happens to be in the same country he is right now. What a coincidence. Yep, they're both in Paris as we speak. How romantic. I did what many Redditors suggested. I used a text template made by one of you, thank you so much, because if I tried to send that text, I'd have come across as unhinged. I said, quote, "Hello guys, I've recently had a video leaked to me that shows X having sex and performing various other intimate acts with another woman. I didn't think it would be appropriate to share such a video here, but I will provide it if asked. This woman, specifically, is the one I'd been concerned about for a while, and we were actually all led to think I was crazy for suspecting that something more was going on between them. It's distressing to find out that I was right. I'm sad that X could do something so disgusting, and I'm sad that I didn't trust my gut. Despite us being together 6 years, this man has shown himself to be an utterly vile human being who has betrayed my trust and hurt me deeply. I was committed to him whilst he was sneaking around behind my back and calling me insecure for my gut instincts. He twisted the knife again and again and tried to ruin my reputation with you all, whilst knowing he wasn't telling the truth the entire time. This is the end, and I want you all to know why, in case he decides to lie again. Also, he is most likely with her in Paris as we speak, as my cousin followed the girl, and they just so happen to be in the same country right now. Here is all the proof. I love you all, and I think what hurts the most, more than this, more than the money wasted on therapy, more than the cheating, is that not a single one of you had my back. Here is the attached evidence. Don't worry, nothing graphic, but I have plenty of truly horrible videos and pictures if any of you still don't trust that I'm not insane. Please just give me some space, and don't reach out for now. I then attached the screenshots of her Instagram story, which show them in the same club in Paris at the same time, a screenshot of the video which takes place in his room, with me scribbling out the explicit stuff on my iPhone editor thing, along with a side-by-side comparison of a picture I took after I'd finished decorating his room with him, and a lewd picture of him topless, which I think best proves it's him and his body. I then left the group chat. Within 10 minutes he started calling, so I blocked him everywhere. His mum texted me saying, "I'm so sorry, I love you so much and always will. Call if you need anything. I'll give you your space, sweetheart, but please do not hesitate to call me any time. I love you like my own, please know that." Which honestly turned me into a frickin' wreck. His little sister, who is 20 and who is amazing, turned up and just hugged me. She didn't even say anything, we just both sat here and cried. She said, "I hope I don't lose you," when she left and hugged me again. I told her she never would. Honestly, I'm a mess right now. My parents are at work and unlikely to see the mess until at least lunchtime, if then. That's basically it. Thank you for everyone who took the time out of your day to message me and comfort me. Thank you for taking me out of doing something truly disgusting to the people who I do still love. They would have been disturbed to see what I had to see. I'm going to cry myself to sleep, I think. I only slept like 3 hours last night. Yeah, I mean, often it's not the breakup with the partner that's the hard part. It's all the family and the other friends you've made along the way. Okay, update 2. Holy F, so I've just been informed by his sister he has blocked his mum and sister after they both chastised him in the group chat, and has now proudly displayed the link to the OnlyFans in his Instagram bio. Glad I helped him to be his unapologetic self. Hope his new career choice goes well, frickin' loser. I still haven't heard from my parents yet. They get out of work at around 5 to 6, but his mum has said I'm welcome to go and hang out with her, as she doesn't want me to be alone. I'm gonna get ready now and just go watch some Maths Australia, maybe have a cheeky glass of wine. That was our little thing. Just because he's choosing to throw away this amazing group of people, our parents and our sisters, doesn't mean I have to do the same. Family is who is there for you in your time of need, and they are the family I choose. He can choose his OnlyFans tramp if he wants. Good riddance. At least I won't have to see him when I hang out with his mum and sister. Update 3. So I went to his mum's place and sat there with her and his sister, watching Married at First Sight. We didn't really talk about anything, just had a glass of wine and watched TV. Eventually I said I wanted to go to the toilet, and I decided to go into his old room, and everything just got too much. So many memories, so many moments that I'd cherished so much, so long spent laying there just hanging out and stuff. I had a really bad panic attack and ended up just breaking down, and I felt like I was going to faint. They came up and checked on me, and we all just sat in his room, crying. This may sound pathetic, and I'd love to pretend I'm some boss babe, but honestly, I don't think I've ever felt so lost and broken in my life. I loved that man. Like, I really loved him with my whole heart. I had since the day I met him. I can't believe it's over. It doesn't even feel like a breakup. It feels like the love of my life has just died. Like it feels like a death. I feel numb. It got too much, and his mum drove me home once my parents had finished work. Our sisters went and picked up my car while his mum spoke to my parents. I think I was in a state of shock. I couldn't speak. Everything just sounded muffled, like I was underwater. I fell asleep, and only just woke up now. It's 11:39. Everyone is in bed, and I'm wide awake. I truly feel lost. Part of me wants to call him, to cry, to beg him to find a way to make everything okay, to tell me it isn't true, to turn back time. I know that's stupid. I know I deserve better, but I've spent every week of my life with him since the day we met. I don't know how to exist without him. I feel like I can't breathe. I just want this all to be a bad dream. Man, it's tragic reading that, and I really don't know what to say to it, other than, time has a way of healing things like this. But yeah, obviously it's easier said than done, and I really don't envy anyone in this situation. It must be terrible. And now she's probably going to suffer with trust issues for the rest of her life. That's just the way these things go. Anyway, what are your thoughts about that one? Let me know in the comments. Either way, let's jump to another story. Okay, we're on Am I the A-hole? This one was written by Throwaway Account, and it's titled, Would I be the a-hole if I rescinded my offer to pay for a friend's birthday dinner after they picked somewhere I can't eat? My friend Luke is turning 40, and I offered to pay for him and a group of our friends to have dinner anywhere Luke wanted. Luke knows I've been vegan since my 20s, and it's never been an issue before. When I asked where he made reservations, he said a local barbecue place that is famous here for having a menu that mocks people who don't eat meat, like literally has a section that says, vegetarian options, don't let the door hit you on your way out. I asked what he expected me to eat, and he got huffy and said, well, it's his birthday, so it shouldn't matter. I should eat before getting there, and just order drinks while everyone else eats dinner, and still enjoys everyone's company, etc. This sounds miserable to me. I had zero expectations of Luke picking somewhere vegan-friendly. Hell, I expected him to pick a steakhouse, and I would have been fine with a salad and some sides. I didn't expect him to choose somewhere that prides themselves on meat being in every single dish on the menu. I want to tell him never mind, and buy him a traditional birthday gift instead, but feel like a massive a-hole for taking back my offer. I don't know what to do, to be honest. Edited to add, this is a group of 9, so I'm also feeling miffed about spending $300 plus on a meal I can't eat. Second edit, the exact text I sent said this, Hey, I want to take you and the friend fam out to dinner for your birthday, Make a reservation somewhere and let me know. Yeah, no, he's being a bit of a clown here. Technically he's doing what you asked him to do, but yeah, in his position he's got to be reasonable. Not the a-hole for me. Let's go to the comments. Not the a-hole. I get that you offered and said he could pick anywhere he wanted. This is extremely generous of you. So generous, in fact, that you should have at least been considered when picking the venue. Even on people's birthdays, my friend group makes sure to pick restaurants that cater to everyone's dietary restrictions and allergies. That's what you do when you care about your friends. The choice he made feels very intentional on his part, and not in a good way. Honestly, it seems he thought it would be funny to humiliate you. He's using the fact that it's his birthday to get away with it. Luke doesn't sound like a great friend. How you handle this is up to you. I personally would tell him that choosing that one restaurant that intentionally excludes people like you is very telling, and you will not be participating. Make a joke out of it by saying something like, "Come on man, you know I'm vegan. Quit frickin' with me and pick a place where I can eat as well, or you're on your own." Not the a-hole. Taking the piss is what your supposed friend is doing. You're bending over backwards to be nice and he's bending you further and being a complete jerk about it. Are you sure this person is a friend? Is this person a friend worth keeping? I would take a good look at this supposed friendship and consider finding some better ones. Ones that will have appreciation and consideration for you. Yeah, well said. On to an update. Hey folks, this may not be the dramatic update you all wanted, but here we go. First, to clear some things up, many of the comments assumed I was a man and Luke was trying to emasculate me somehow. I am a 41-year-old woman, and our friend group that was invited are 4 women and 6 men. 4 of those people are spouses, and the other 6 of us have known each other since college after living in the same academic focus house senior year, an off-campus housing option where people who share a concentration can apply for and live in standalone houses off-campus that are university-owned. That's a story for another time, just trying to give context. After deciding to just cancel and take a break from my friendship with Luke, I got a text from our friend Susan letting me know Luke had told everyone where we were going to eat, and without prompting got several texts back along the lines of, "Hilarious, but where are we really eating?" Without any dramas, I guess Luke realised he had made a mistake, and I got a text later in the day from him saying he was sorry and had decided on a different spot. Luke has always been a bit oblivious and bad with social cues, and I'm bad at confrontation, which was a bad mix. Dinner was last night, and it went great. Everyone was making fun of Luke for the initial choice, but he took it in stride and we all had a great time catching up and being away from our respective kids for a night. Sorry for the boring update. Nah, it's not boring. That's a good update, I think. Very sensible. My boyfriend and I were supposed to move in together. 2 weeks ago, he bought a $87,000 truck without telling me. I refused to move in with him. I'm very annoyed. He didn't even speak to me about it. We had so many discussions about moving in together, getting married, and then he goes and purchases a truck $2,000 more than his yearly salary. If you're asking how can a truck be $87,000, that's the price you get when you put every addition you want on it. He showed me the truck, expecting me to be excited, and I was livid. When he bought this truck, we were only a month from moving in together. We got into a bad argument where he told me it was his money and he could do whatever he wanted with it. So I said fine, and I told him I'm not comfortable moving in with him anymore. I asked my landlord if my apartment was still available and if I could renew my lease, and they said yes. Now my boyfriend is saying he can't afford his place and his truck. I don't feel bad. You should have thought of that before buying something so expensive without talking to your girlfriend of 2 years. I've had some of his friends' girlfriends reach out to me and say I should support him, and one even say that I'm not loyal, and this shows I wouldn't support him if we were married, since I run away when finances get bad. That's bullcrap. He didn't lose his job or get hurt. He bought an expensive item without discussing it. I've been trying to get him to return the truck because it's already affecting his finances badly. He's only had this truck for 2 weeks, and he's worried that in the next month or 2, he won't be able to cover all the expenses he usually has. This past weekend we had another argument and I think our relationship is going to end. I'm not helping him pay for this truck and I'm not moving in with him. I have asked for a break and will be thinking about what to do. Edit. I appreciate the different opinions everyone has given me. I have a lot to think about. To answer 2 questions, no, he doesn't need the truck. He works from home, and if he has to check in at work, he has an office. Also, his friends and their girlfriends know about this issue because he asked for their views when they went to a get-together last week. Only 2 girlfriends reached out to me to tell me I wasn't being supportive. The others have minded their business. Yeah, now, if you're seriously thinking about a future together, you really got to be on the same page in regards to financial decisions, especially ones as big as this. Let's go to some comments. Good job recognizing a bad situation when you see one. This dude fully expected you to supplement his lifestyle after moving in together. All his money would have gone to paying that truck, leaving you stuck with the lion's share of the bills. And that's why he's panicking now. Stay in your own apartment, OP. The minute he was expecting you to help finance his life, it ceased to be his money. You absolutely did the right thing. That man was going to use you to pay for his expensive-ass truck. Ask your friends' girlfriends if they want to give up their life to finance his mistakes, because you sure as hell won't, and shouldn't. It'll only get worse if you enable him. He'll be coming home with a Ferrari next. I had an ex do the same thing. He bought a $60,000 truck on the morning we were supposed to sign the contract for our new apartment. The insurance alone was $700 a month, so I kept the apartment I already had and stupidly let him move in with me. Even more foolish, I authorized him on my credit cards eventually. His truck ended up getting repossessed and I ended up $10,000 in debt from the cards he used and wouldn't pay. I wish I'd been as smart as you are. Good for you for not letting him suck you into his pit of irresponsibility. Edit, the insurance was this cost in 2006 for him. He was 21. He got a DUI at 17 after he drunkenly crashed a car. He lost his license for 2 years and never had an insurance policy of his own. Yeah, no, you were right to put yourself first. He's going to end up drowning in debt. At least you won't be there to see it. Would imagine he thought he could make you take the majority of rent and household expenses while he just put money in his truck. Yeah, safe to say that's probably what's happening here. Okay, on to an update. Yeah, so I broke up with him, mainly because I realized we aren't financially compatible. Before I go into what happened, I do want to say something. I understand we weren't married, but we were both moving together into a new place and had several discussions about this move and our plans for the future, including marriage. For the people private messaging me saying it's his money and he can do whatever he wants, you're only 2 years into a relationship, you're not a wife. Well, I know that, and I've never asked what's in his bank account or told him what to do financially. I'm aware it's his money, but I also know his financial situation, and he was making decisions without my input that, if we were to stay together, would not only affect him, but also our relationship and our financial situation for years to come. I will die on this hill. This is not okay, and if it's okay for you, that's fine. But for me, if we make a financial plan and you make a huge decision without me, I won't be okay with it, and that's a big reason why I backed out of moving into a new apartment with him. I would have never made a decision like this without his input at all. The main reason we decided to move in together was to take the next step in our relationship, but also to pay down our debts. I now have $22,000 debt from student loans and a car. When I met him though, it was around $60,000 and I was basically living on credit cards. Within the first couple of months of us dating, I saw how hard he worked, and with a salary at $85,000, he was making huge progress in paying off his loans and credit cards. On my end at the time, I was only making $50,000. I honestly saw his work ethic and was like, wow, and got serious about my debt. I got a second part-time job where I was making $32,000 a year, bringing my salary to $82,000. I did that so that I could pay off my debts faster, but also so that we would be on equal footing when we moved in together, and he didn't have to pay significantly more in living expenses than me when he had more debt. We did a complete budget months before we moved in together, and realized that we would each have $700 extra a month to put towards our own individual budgets. This is why the purchase of this truck was so surprising to me. We had planned this move for months. We had a budget and he destroyed that plan with the truck. If he wanted a new car, there are plenty of cars he could have gotten that would have fit into the $700 monthly surplus he had. Anyway, for the past few days before we broke up, he tried to show me that his truck was a good financial purchase and we could still move in together. He told me that he'd actually budgeted for this and could show me how he could afford this. I wanted to hear him out, so I went to his place, and he had 2 budgets. He said he'd been thinking of getting this truck for some time and he'd worked out a budget beforehand. He showed me the first budget, and after his truck, insurance, expenses and his debts, he was left with $115 for the month. I noticed with the first budget he didn't include groceries, his hobbies, going out, or even gas for his car. I asked him how $115 was enough to live off for an entire month. I asked him how he could afford all of this and his truck, and if he planned to give up on some things. He said no, he didn't plan to give up anything and that he could make everything work in his budget. I asked him what if he had an emergency or needed gas for his truck, and he just kept saying he would work it out without explaining how. After I saw the first budget, I asked to see the documents for the car, and that's how I found out the truck price was $95,000 total after taxes, registration and fees. He traded in his reliable 2003 Toyota and all his savings to get a loan at 14% for 72 months. His monthly payment is now $1966 and insurance is $573. He also still has student loans, which is significant. I kept telling him $115 left over monthly wasn't enough. That's when he showed me his second budget, which had a combined higher monthly income. I asked him if he was getting a second job, and he said due to his first job relying on him to be on call, he couldn't. I asked where the income was coming from, and this man said, "Well, you're getting a raise soon." I froze because I had mentioned this raise once months ago. My first job is my career job, and I work in a field where when you hit certain milestones you get a pay bump. In September, if my raise is approved, I will go from $50,000 to $80,000, and with my second job, my total yearly income will be $112,000. But getting the raise isn't a guarantee. You have to meet certain criteria, and if you don't, you have to wait 3 months before trying again. When he said that, I was quiet, and then I said, "So you planned a budget that included additional income that I wouldn't get for at least 6 months, and income that I might not even get in September." He said when I got my raise, the ratio of what he would pay would decrease, and he would have more disposable income. I asked him why it was okay for him to plan budgets with my income, but yet I had no say in how he spent his. He couldn't answer that. I told him I had no issue with paying more bills if I got a raise, but the fact that he banked on that, didn't discuss it, and now expects me to be okay with this is ridiculous. I also said there's no way I wouldn't be paying more with the first budget because he wouldn't have been able to survive on $115. I told him he didn't communicate, and this is on him because he made huge financial plans without discussing anything. Finally, I told him I would never have done any of this without going to him first because I thought we were a team that was building something. I ended things the next day, and he's been trying to reach out, but I'm not interested. He has financially crippled himself with this truck. If with my income now he could barely make it, he sure isn't making it on his own. I really hope that things work out for him and he's able to keep his truck and recover, but I'm not paying the consequences for such a massive financial mistake that is going to hugely affect him for years to come. If I were to stay, this financial decision affects me as well, and will continue to affect both of us for years. Again, this is different from becoming ill or losing a job. He chose this and refuses to budge and fix it. I now realize we are not financially compatible, and that's okay, and I wish him the best. Wow, there you go. Yeah, honestly, I think Opie was too smart for this guy anyway. And the audacity of him to take out a loan for a $100,000 truck and expect his girlfriend to pay for it. God, I'm surprised she's so calm about it. Let's go to a final comment. All I have to ask is, how are you handling this with so much grace? I would be ticked if my ex, who I was so emotionally invested in, pulled this on me. It's not just that he made an irresponsible decision, it's the fact that he thought he could leech off you and your money to pay it, and somehow blindside you to get away with that. You don't badmouth him a single time and did the right thing immediately, break up, and have already accepted that you both are incompatible. I'm in awe of how decisive and yet non-aggressive you were. I wish I could be that way. Opie replies, "To answer your question about why I'm not bad-mouthing him, it's because I'm sad. I'm sad about what he did to himself, and that I had to leave because he isn't seeing how bad this is. I'm sad that just a few months ago I was planning us living together and a life, and now that's gone. Most of all, I'm sad for him. He was doing so well, and he rubbed off on me immensely in terms of paying off debt and watching us spending. I'm sad that he threw away all his hard work. Dumping on him even more isn't worth it because when he realizes this mistake, it will be so bad for him. I don't see a point to do it, but I'm not judging anyone who would in these circumstances." Okay guys, and that's all she wrote for that one. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Okay, on to another story. Okay, jumping over to Am I the A-hole? This one was written by user Apprehensive Ty, and it's titled, Am I the a-hole for not wanting to have sex after my wife turned it into a reward and punishment system? I think my wife is experiencing a phenomena called the 7 years itch right now. We are married to each other for 7 years now and did not have any serious problems before. Around the end of 2023, she started offering sex for small gestures such as gifts and doing chores. For the last 7 years, and since I've been an independent adult, I make sure to handle my share of the chores. She offered mind-blowing sex for me doing her part of the chores, which I enjoyed first. Then it turned into gifts and gestures. Mind you, these had all been present in our relationship for the last 7 years. Nothing out of the ordinary. That change happened literally overnight. Great sex life, both take care of other parties' needs by communicating clearly and respecting their wishes. Even though it was good at first, it turned into a form of reward and punishment later on. You did not do X, no sex for you, or good, you did this and we can have sex. I asked her what is the deal with this. She did not do it before. She said she gets turned on and feels emotionally connected when I put extra effort into the relationship. I just rolled my eyes at that. What did even change overnight for it to happen? I should have asked it back then. It has been a few months since this started and I could not take it anymore. I started refusing her advances because it's such a turn-off for me. Yesterday she came to me and said, "You did the chores, I think you deserve a reward." I told her, "I don't know where you've seen this, but it's getting out of hand. I'm not Pavlov's dog that you're giving threat or punishment to. Communicate with me if there's something wrong, but this change you had overnight is ridiculous. Do you expect me to beg for it and obey you in every case? You're making me feel like I've not contributed anything to chores or did not show you any gestures before that. Just tell me what is happening, because if we're going to change every good aspect of our relationship because you saw it somewhere else, this relationship will die out faster than a candlestick." She stormed out crying and slept on the couch. I'm getting the cold shoulder now. Did my wife turn into an 8-year-old child or what? What is this sudden change, and am I the a-hole for not wanting to have sex with her and calling out her behaviour? I would appreciate advice, especially from women. Wow, yeah, this is bizarre and not healthy. Probably some stupid trend she heard on a podcast or something. I don't know. Let's go to the comments. You are not a dog. You are a person. This is manipulative, and while you probably should have said something at first, not the a-hole. Opie replies, "At first it was pleasant. Having good sex after some small gestures was good. It added a new dynamic to our relationship. It was good until it turned into a reward and punishment system and happened all the time." Reminds me of this thing I saw on FML several years ago. Today my wife made me a sex rewards chart where I get points by doing chores and such, and 50 points gets me some action. She refuses to even look at me if I haven't earned the points, and is contemplating sleeping alone in the guest room until I earn more points. Don't let your relationship turn into that. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole, that's some weird power trip crap. If sex is made into a transactional thing, it's pretty well destroyed. Maybe she thinks she's doing some empowerment thing, but it sounds like she's going for all the power instead of half. I see two possibilities. 1, she decided she's into some kind of fandom kink. 2, she read an article about using positive reinforcement. Either way, she proceeded with it without having a conversation with you about it. Now she is emotionally manipulating you into groveling by giving you the cold shoulder. Just keep telling her that you were very happy with life until this new thing started, and that it makes you very uncomfortable. That you two should be equals. She's made sex transactional. I jokingly told my husband one time that if he would help me pick blackberries that I would give him a BJ. He got completely serious and said, "Married people who love each other don't make their spouses earn sex." He is completely correct. Okay, on to an update. I was planning to talk to my wife today, but surprisingly she came to talk to me in the early morning during breakfast. She apologized and told me the things I said made her understand she hurt me, and she felt terrible for that. She told me she took it too far without reading my reactions. I also apologized for telling her off like that and losing control of my emotions. We had a great discussion about what happened, why it happened, and our marriage in general. I asked her if she thought my gestures were not enough and that she thought the share of chores was unfair. She said it's not like that and there's no problem with share of chores nor my gestures. She's been feeling less confident, and adding a new dynamic to our relationship by making me try more made her feel better, just like before we were married. Also, she told me having less things to do allowed her to completely focus on me and turned her on more. She also stated she was feeling shy initiating due to her confidence, and this dynamic helped her to initiate. I asked if she was happy with our sex life and me. She said she is more than happy, and reward and punishment thing has nothing to do with it. My final question was if she had this kind of kink. She said maybe. She felt good playing like that, but accepted turning the whole sex life into this was terrible of her. I agreed, while it was good in the beginning, turning the whole sex life into a reward and punishment system and doing it all the time became a problem. I told her I'm okay with that kind of play, or any kind of play, as long as it's communicated. I'm a freak, so no problem from my side. We had more talk about private things, but in the end communicated our thoughts and feelings to each other clearly. In the end, she told me maybe I should reward her for being a good girl this time, and this awakened something sleeping in me. I don't know if I'll be able to wait for the night. Finally, there were some people demonizing my wife and telling me to divorce or find an affair right away. On the other hand, some declared me as a deadbeat husband abusing my wife by making her mummy me, even though I clearly stated it's not like that in the post. Why people love assuming things with the zero information like that to make one party guilty? Chill. The problem is solved, and I would say with that challenge, our love and sex life will level up from the looks of it. Thank you for all the suggestions and help. Cheers. Okay guys, and there you go. Yeah, it's funny what communication can do. And yeah, it's nice to see an updated post that doesn't end in divorce or misery every now and then. But yeah, I guess this is a good lesson to check in with your partner if you're going to try anything different in that realm. It's funny how at first it kind of started like a game to the wife, and then she started to enjoy the power she had over OP. One comment says, she might have been influenced by sitcoms in the 90s and early 2000s where most of married couples have this reward system for some reason. And another comment says, wow, this was a much better read than anticipated. Wife was indeed being frickin' weird, but I expected a much more depressing dynamic then. Wants to initiate more and is super weird about it, then kinda gets off on the power aspect, fails to communicate properly. Thank God OP realised how effed it was and they actually talked it out. Boyfriend cheated and ghosted me. Dude couldn't even man up and tell me that he didn't want to be together anymore. He had me thinking that he was dead somewhere because he wouldn't reply back to me for 2 days. His roommate had to call me and let me know that, yeah, he's fine, he's cheating on you with my ex. So not only is he screwing me over, but he's also screwing over his roommate, his supposed best friend. What a freaking crappy person. I can't believe I was fooled. I almost told this person I loved him. I'm so mad at myself. I'm so disgusted. Whoa, talk about a high energy opening. Let's go to some comments. Oh look, the trash took itself out. At least you aren't living with him. This sucks a lot, but at least you got rid of him before the I love you phase. There are so many better guys for you. Look back on this as a bullet dodged. Thank the roommate and block. Okay, update 1. So I went to my ex's house on Wednesday to grab some things I left there, and did some unhinged and petty things to his room as his roommate egged me on. His roommate felt so bad for me. Hell, I felt so bad for him. He still has to live with the guy who betrayed him. I offered to buy him lunch and he accepted and offered me a toke. We went to a Thai place and I ate one piece of my food. My appetite has been completely lost, and pondered on if what I did, trashing my ex's room, was justified. I asked the roommate and he was shocked, responding with, "Don't you think he deserved it?" Indeed he did, but I'm such a nice person. I felt like I'd gone a little psycho about it. I took him back to the apartment and told him how I was sad I wouldn't see their cat anymore. He told me I could come over whenever I wanted to, even just to F with my ex. I asked if he had any St. Patrick's Day plans and he said yeah, come out with me, so I accepted. We texted for a few days. I let him know I was making shepherd's pie for my parents and he commented on how he hadn't had it in a while. I offered to bring him some since I had intended on making some for them on Friday, if everything hadn't blown up anyway. so I made the pies on Friday afternoon and headed out to meet him at a bar that evening. Arrived at the bar, he introduced me to everyone all night as my roommate's ex-girlfriend that he cheated on with my ex, so although I got sympathy, I felt uneasy on how these random people and his co-workers, who went to his job to get free drinks, would view me. He'd been drinking all day while I just started, so I was looking out for him a little. We went to smoke in his car, then went to a house party after. Now, at this party, he was putting his arm around me and hugging me. It felt nice. We left the party and went back to his car. We spoke for a moment before he asked to kiss me. I said sure, and we made out for a bit. He walked me to my car and he asked if I wanted to go back to the apartment with him, with the possibility of seeing my ex. Not now. I headed home instead. It wasn't my intention to get with the roommate. I know it won't lead to anything serious because he's too young for me, and I just can't set my head or heart straight for anything physical right now. Also, I'm late in my cycle, 4 days late. I'm hoping it's just from the stress. Yeah, it might feel good kind of in the revenge aspect of it all and getting with the roommate, but it could lead to an unhealthy relationship, I think. Let's go to some more comments. Not gonna lie, based on how he introduced you to everyone, it sounds like he's just trying to get under his roommate's skin by messing around with you now. I might be wrong though. Opie replies, I figured, and I'm sort of okay with it. He has a reputation, but at least he's straight up about it. I just let him know that I wanted comfort, affection and friendship rather than sex, and he's okay with that since he can find sex anywhere. He is in a very vulnerable position and is seriously grieving. It sounds like he's taking this super hard, and given that he is stuck living with the person who caused it, is a bit traumatized. I think he's going to make some bad choices. You were dealing with it one way, and he is another. I'm glad you went home rather than go to his place because he was in no state to make a proper choice. Make sure you both respect each other and understand that you both are vulnerable right now. I wish the best for you both. Opie replies, Yeah, I feel really bad for him. A friendship of 6 years ruined. He's got a good head on his shoulders and honestly doesn't drink much. It was the first Friday he's had off in forever, so he just took advantage of that. I think we both respect one another, but at the same time, we're still getting to know each other since we didn't speak much at all when I was dating my ex. He told me if I didn't feel right and if this was too much for me, he'd leave me alone. He just wants me to be comfortable, which I appreciate. I'll definitely leave him alone if he'd like me to. I don't really have much of an attachment to him, but he's nice to talk to and make out with, ha. You really need to separate yourself from this drama bullcrap. No games, no revenge. Cut your ex off, cut his roommate off and move on with your life. Take the cat first. They deserve better. Opie says, Well, he deserves so much better, but it's okay. I'll love on him when I see him. Update 2. Hello again, Reddit. I don't really have much of an update, but just wanted to let everyone know that it's been pretty okay for me. I've moved into my own place with my cat, and we've officially been here 10 days. It's been great, besides my cat's initial anxiousness, but she's getting used to it. I haven't spoken to my ex's roommate in weeks. We both started feeling weird about the situation, but remain Pokemon Go friends. As for my ex, him and the girl broke up and I haven't heard from him at all. He views all my social media but has made no effort to speak with me, which I'm thankful for. Guess he's just looking to see what he's missing out on. I'll be going to a concert next week, which my mum said she'd fund for me, and my older sister recently told me she's paying my phone bill for the rest of the year. I've really been so lucky this month and I know I deserve it. My friend who gave me my cat is also giving me a kitten from their newest litter. I can't wait to have my own little void and hope they can bring my kitty out of her shell. I've started therapy since, this is the only bad update, I had a panic attack while I was intimate with a guy. I told him that I felt it was too soon since the breakup and even warned him I might cry, and he was okay with it until I was sobbing and hyperventilating into his pillow. I left his place and proceeded to chain smoke and cry my entire way home. Somehow that didn't scare him off, and he's asked to see me since, but I don't think I will. I'm thinking I'll stay single and alone for a bit, focus on improving myself. So that's the update, and probably the last one. I'm just going to be healing, glowing up, and thriving. Sounds like a pretty good plan to me, but Opie is lying because there's more updates. Hello, it's been a while, Reddit. So, big and small changes have happened since my initial post. That's now since been deleted, I apologise. But a little TLDR. My boyfriend of 4 months cheated on me with his roommate's crazy ex-girlfriend. I found out from the roommate since the boyfriend ghosted me. I've since moved out on my own, which is exciting. I love my new place. I got a kitten and she's the absolute best and gets along so well with my other cat. Plus they're sisters, same mum, different litters. I was seeing a therapist for a while. I hang out with friends more, went to concerts, travelled, etc. Now I guess onto the juicier stuff. Honestly, not much has happened. I unfollowed him on socials, but he continued to view my things for a few months until I had a dream about him telling me he got a new job and he was going to be a dad. I woke up in a terrible mood from that and went into work only to drive behind who? My ex on his way to work. Then that same day, he unfollowed me on socials. About time. I texted his roommate since we're friends, only friends, and asked him about the pregnancy. He said, "Yeah, he did mention something to me the other day and I was confused, but after having you ask, it makes sense. So yeah, he got the girl he cheated on me with pregnant within 2 to 3 months. Congrats to them. I hope they live in misery with each other." I've gone on a few dates here and there. I now have intimacy issues, so I don't like people touching me, much less engaging in sexual acts with me, so currently going through a dry spell, lol. I'm just enjoying my life, stress-free and cheater-free. Or so I thought. Since we unfollowed each other on socials, I thought that'd be it. I reposted a funny video yesterday, and he viewed it today. This sorry excuse of a man went out of his way to look me up and view my story. I know it's probably best to just block him, but I don't really care to. He's lost the best thing that ever happened to him, and he can look on and regret. I doubt that he'll reach out, so I don't think I'll be updating again. Just going to continue to live my best life and enjoy my peace on this earth. Yeah, let him keep watching the stories, I say. Let him wallow in his own self-guilt. Okay, now for a final update. Hello, it's been a long time. 7 months to be exact since I found out about my ex-boyfriend cheating on me with his best friend and roommate's ex. I'd like to say that I'm doing great. About a month after that all went down, I got my own place, just me, my cat and her half-sister that I got in August. I'm doing great in my job, been to a few concerts, took some much-needed vacations, and been hanging out with my loving family and friends. I've not heard from my ex and have blocked him on mostly everything. I don't care to know what's going on in his life, and it helps that he lives far away from me anyway, so there's no way I'd ever see him besides in passing on the highway, which happened one time and caused him to finally unfollow me on Instagram because men are weird and will ghost you but continue to view your content. Oh well, so long and good riddance. His now ex-roommate has been over to my place a few times. My cats really like him, but he's tried sleeping with me a few times and I've rejected him each time. I have no interest in him and especially have no interest in sleeping with someone that was so close to my ex. I've started seeing someone and he's wonderful. We get along so well and just started going to the gym together. This is by far my healthiest relationship, despite my reservations of dating someone in the military. When he has to go away for training, I'll take his puppy out to the dog park and care for him while he's gone. He's goofy, caring, and I'm probably at his place half the week. I truly adore him and can't wait to see where this goes. He's going to be meeting my family this weekend for an impromptu Thanksgiving we're having, since my sister and her family is in town. She was also in the military, so she has a little interrogation planned, but I'm sure it'll be fine, lol. Anyways, that's the update. Can only hope that life only gets better from here. Yeah, likewise, and a great update there. Just goes to show again that life does get better, even if it feels like everything's against you. I'd love to hear your thoughts about that one. Let me know in the comments. Okay, on to another story. Okay, this next one comes from user Superkey1405 and it's titled, "Girlfriend's family always makes comments about what I eat. I told her I was done eating around them, including not coming to Thanksgiving. My girlfriend and I have been together for 3 years. Our relationship is strong except for a recurring issue where her family is difficult and she's not always great at standing up to them or for me. I am a large man. I'm not fat or anything, just very tall. I play 2 recreational sports and also bike a lot in my free time. As a result of this, I eat quite a lot. 95% of the time I eat healthy, but in larger quantities, and the other 5% of the time I will occasionally pig out. I'm not unhealthy in the slightest. I've been to a doctor recently, and he affirmed I am in good health and have a good healthy lifestyle by all measures, weight, exercise, blood pressure, cholesterol, etc. So I know I'm doing everything right. However, my girlfriend's family constantly needs to comment on what and how much I eat. They live 2 hours away, so when we see them, it's typically us staying at their house for a whole weekend, where I'm at the whim of whatever the menu is. If I eat more than one serving of something, then the mum or sister will make comments or whisper to each other about how I'm eating into their leftovers the next day, or how it's unhealthy for me to have a second cookie or something. This is even if there's a ton of food, so I know I'm not eating their whole week's budget of food or anything. I've also tried bringing my own snacks, so I'm not infringing on their supply of food with my extra eating, but this doesn't work either. I'll sneak a granola bar or an apple or a bag of chips from my bag, and they'll find out. I think they searched the trash or something, and let me know that I'll spoil my appetite, or ask whether the food Mum made wasn't good enough for me. My girlfriend and I will also do our own activities out of the house during the day sometimes when we visit, so I've occasionally had to stop at a fast food place if I need to eat some fries or chicken nuggets or whatever out of the house. Whenever we come back, the mum or sister will make comments or ask if we ate anywhere else while we were out, and girlfriend gets nervous and confesses because she feels guilty or doesn't like lying to them. So after 3 years of this, I get really sick of being attacked for the amount I eat, even when it barely impacts them and I know I'm eating an okay amount. It has gradually gotten worse over time. My breaking point came last week when it was girlfriend's mum's birthday, so we met at a restaurant in the middle between us one night. I ordered a burger and fries while everyone else ordered salads, and immediately girlfriend's mum, sister and aunt all started commenting about how the burger looked unhealthy. I stood up for myself and said that I'd biked dozens of miles that week already, so I think I can treat myself to a burger, to which the sister said that one unhealthy thing can wipe out weeks of working out, which I dismissed. I was hoping that would be it, but every 10 minutes someone would make more comments, so I'm getting really annoyed. I eyeballed my girlfriend numerous times to be like, back me up here, and barely got anything. Finally, the food came and my burger was perfectly normal. Not giant, not dripping with grease, not filled with unhealthy toppings, just a normal burger. But everyone was like, wow, that thing is enormous. You really shouldn't eat that in one sitting. It'll clog your arteries and you'll feel terrible afterwards. Seriously, that thing is so unhealthy. I think I would die immediately. I decided that I was done after that. I sneaked away to the bathroom and stopped at the front of the restaurant to ask for a box and to pay my part of the bill early, came back to the table and announced that I was going to get going as I didn't feel well, and asked my girlfriend if she wanted a ride home or if she was going to figure out another way home. She got super embarrassed and said that she would come with me if I wait a few minutes, so I got in the car and ate my burger in there while I waited 10 minutes for her to come. We left and she cried the whole way home. I felt bad that it hurt her feelings, but I'm at my limit, and I told her I was done going to events where we eat food with her family, and if that means that I don't come with her when she visits her family, then that's just the way it has to be. I said I would be skipping Thanksgiving at her parents' this year. Since then, she's barely talked to me, but hasn't really fought me on it at all. I know it hurts her, but I have to stick up for myself here. I'm sick of being treated like I'm some fatso who eats like garbage, when I know I live a healthier lifestyle than any of them. I'm not even that mad at my girlfriend. Obviously, I would appreciate the backup, but I know she's scared of her family since they're all kind of bullies, so I'm just not going to allow myself to be present at these opportunities. Whatever fallout happens as a result of this is just not my responsibility. Am I handling this right? Is there a nicer way I could have said everything and been gentler with my girlfriend? I don't want to hurt her feelings, but I have the right to protect myself if she won't. Yeah, everyone has their breaking point, and I think Opie has reached his. I think any of us would be super annoyed if this was what was being brought up at family dinners every time. Let's look at some comments. You have not done anything wrong here, but instead of defending yourself by saying things like, I eat healthy, I exercise, etc., could you just flat out set a boundary and say, please stop commenting on my food, I'm an adult and choose what I eat, or something like that? Also, your girlfriend seems to be responding super passively here. It doesn't sound like y'all have fully talked it through if she's just saying things like okay or I understand. Y'all should be talking about things like her own experience with her family, her relationship with food with her family, and how does she feel setting boundaries with them, and what will it take for her to do that, how it makes you feel, and what will happen if they don't stop, etc. I think your girlfriend needs therapy, and definitely couples therapy if y'all plan to stay together. Honestly, sounds like the family is projecting some disordered eating habits. Obviously still not fair to you, but Is this how you want to live the rest of your life? What happens if you have a baby and they start shaming a pregnant woman for eating a healthy amount of food? What happens when they shame your child into having an eating disorder? Your girlfriend is perfectly fine with them treating you this way, so it's only going to get worse. Yeah, maybe some hard truths there for Opie to read. Anyway, no update for that one so far, so let's hope that the girlfriend's family, apologized and changed their ways. Otherwise, it's going to be pretty hard to move forward in that relationship if you can't even eat a meal with her parents. What do you guys think? Let me know down below. Okay, on to another story. Okay, jumping over to relationship advice. This one was written by user Silverjack, and it's titled, "My boyfriend and his kids have no respect for my things, and I'm getting fed up. I'm 30, female, and he's 54. Recently, his 3 teenage daughters moved in with him permanently. We do not live together, but I stay at his house on weekends. I live on my own and I do a lot of online shopping, especially at Sephora. I gave his daughters a perfume each that I bought but never really wore, but now he's telling me that they would really appreciate it if I would actually take them shopping at Sephora, which I probably would do, but we're still getting to know each other, me and his girls, and I don't want them to pretend to like me just because I buy them things. They've also almost finished all my creams, perfume, and lip products that I left at his place, and he told me that's his fault because he told them they can use my stuff, which is fine, but why didn't he ask me first? I would have said yes. The fact that he made that decision without asking is what's making me mad. I've also noticed that I've been paying every time we go out. He used to offer to pay, but now it's just like he expects me to do it. Lastly, last night his youngest daughter decided to take a bath, and she used the entire bottle of shower gel, 600 milliliters, that I left there, and his response was he's sorry, but it's just a shower gel, I can get a new one. Shouldn't he at least offer to replace it for me? How would this make you guys feel? I'm not sure if I'm the one that's being unreasonable." Well, look, I don't want to jump to conclusions, but there's obviously a reason he's divorced. Let's go to some comments. So he's old enough to be your dad, but treats you like you're his sugar mummy. Girl, move on. They are users and have zero respect for you. It will get worse, especially when you start establishing boundaries. He's 24 years older than you and expecting you to bankroll date nights and his kids' Sephora habits? Bye, boy. Opie makes an edit. Thank you to everyone that's been answering. Didn't think this post would get this much attention. I do want to mention that I don't pay for everything. I do pay for me and him when we go to restaurants, but he does pay for drinks and food when we're at his house. Since it's Valentine's Day today, and we do have weekend plans, I do want to have a conversation with him and try to set some boundaries. Depending on how that goes, I'll make a decision regarding our future. Okay, let's see that update. I talked to him and he said he'd change and work on it. His idea of working on it was taking me out to casinos, which I don't like, and I've told him on multiple occasions that I don't like going to the casino. I've had a bad case of COVID and was sick for a few weeks, so I wasn't able to see him. This weekend we were together and he's been telling me how much he misses me. We went to the casino again where we sat separately and didn't talk for about 2 to 3 hours. Got back to his place and had an argument. He told me he's sorry. I went to the bathroom to cool off and take a shower, and now I'm out of the shower. He's sitting naked in his bedroom waiting for me to have sex with him. I can't even look at him. I'm incredibly ticked off. He fell asleep. Do I wake him to tell him I'm ticked, or just leave? I think we all know the answer to that question. One comment sums it up. You're in your prime, and your boyfriend, who qualifies for many senior discounts, treats you like his sugar mummy. I recall your previous post about him giving your expensive products to his daughters and refusing to replace them, and always making you pay for all of your dates, and he treats you like a sex doll on top of it. And after that last post, you're still putting up with this man's BS? Girl, if you don't leave his sorry ass behind and block him everywhere, then don't come back here complaining again about this jerk. Husband feels enough time has passed and I should forgive his brother for insulting me and then making creepy comments about me. He doesn't seem to understand I don't want to interact with his brother at all and might never will. We've been together for over 10 years, have a 7-year-old girl and a 4-year-old son. For the most part, we've gotten along well with each other's family. My mother-in-law has gone above and beyond to help with the kids and helped me when I was dealing with certain health issues. So the following was something we didn't expect and makes me feel uncomfortable of interacting with my brother-in-law ever again. Brother-in-law got dumped during the holidays and was feeling down at the start of January, and my husband has made a point of texting him often just to check on him, and it looked like he was in better spirits like around mid-month and went on what he called a great date with a former co-worker. A few days after that, on a weekday, my husband and me were playing a board game with our kids. While texting with my brother-in-law, my husband first sent a voice note of our kids saying hello to their uncle, and then a pic of me and my kids huddled around on the floor with the board in the middle. My brother-in-law replied by saying, "Only you can turn a hoe into a housewife." My husband immediately said he thought his brother might be drinking or something when he showed it to me. I was shocked at the sheer randomness of being insulted like that. We didn't want to ruin the kids' night, so we agreed to talk to my brother-in-law later, but in the meantime, my husband responded by saying that wasn't funny and asking if he has a problem with me or if it was trying to rile him up. Brother-in-law just deleted it and didn't respond. Once the kids were in their room and it was just us, my husband tried to reach out to my brother-in-law, but he ignored his calls and texts. He assured me his brother was feeling bad over it and probably wasn't thinking when he said it, and he'd get things cleared up soon enough. The day after, my husband tried to figure out what had crawled up my brother-in-law's butt, and somehow his explanation just made things worse, saying he was just jealous because I don't look like a typical housewife, but I'm so good at it, and how that picture reminded him of how far he is from having a family of his own, and then he doubled down on how out of place I looked. The out of place comment was in reference to me not having cleaned my dark lipstick off, holding what looked like a cocktail drink, just fruit juice, and wearing a nice top while my kids were in homier outfits. For context, we were playing frickin' Clue. My husband and I had come back from having coffee with friends, and I thought I could roleplay as a socialite, so I didn't switch to something more comfy. That, along with my shoulder back tattoo, meant I had no business being in a cozy family picture, apparently. Brother-in-law said over and over again how it was a crappy joke, but I still felt he had and has some personal problem with me. My husband told him to sort himself out and reach back when he had a real apology. So then he contacted me, wrote a whole paragraph saying how sorry he is and how he hates how he's put his brother in an awkward place and how I know he respects and cares about me and how I'm family. I told him I felt there was more to it and I'd be willing to forgive him, but first he had to be completely honest. He replied by going on a weird tangent about how I don't fit the profile of a regular great housewife and how my husband is lucky he got the best of both worlds, and the more I asked for context, the stranger and weirder it got. I didn't want him in our house last week for my son's birthday, and knowing that he just texted my brother how he had promised to take us all to a theme park, quote, when things went back to normal. My husband told me it's been 3 weeks, and how my brother-in-law has apologized over a dozen times now, and if we could all just get along again. I told him he can't dictate when I should forgive someone else, and that maybe I never will, and my husband told me that's an overreaction over a few stupid comments my brother-in-law obviously didn't mean. Yeah, honestly, sounds like he's just jealous, and honestly probably a little bit attracted to OP. His life has gone to crap, and usually when that happens, everyone else's lives seem perfect. Let's go to the comments. He does think you're attractive. He's jealous that his brother has an attractive wife who is also a great housewife, while his own life is falling apart. I just watched a video related to this. No contact isn't a punishment, it's a consequence. It's not about hurting or anything. It's just the natural next step when something isn't fixable. There's no going back. If the person gets better, great. But the goal is to keep you safe and happy. Nothing to do with the person you aren't in contact with. Listen to your gut. It sounds like he's attracted to you, resentful, and super misogynistic. Ask your husband how he would expect you to react if it were literally any other man on the planet aside from his brother who said that kind of thing to you, and hopefully, when he expresses that it would be unacceptable, ask him why his brother gets a pass. Yeah, that's a good point. Perhaps putting it in a different perspective might change his mind. Let's go to an update. My mother-in-law texted my husband asking questions about us excluding my brother-in-law for several get-togethers now, the aforementioned birthday and a barbecue, and I told my husband he'd have to tell his mum. He told me he needed to talk to me first before explaining things to her. I expected he'd tell me my brother-in-law had told my mother-in-law his own distorted version, or that we needed to be careful on how we explained things to my mother-in-law. Instead, he told me he had an in-joke years back with his brother-in-law and a few friends about me being a one-night stand turned serious girlfriend, and how it was stupid, immature, and something he's embarrassed about now, and that he didn't even connect the dots when my brother-in-law made the hoe to housewife comment, and it wasn't until my brother-in-law spelled it out for him in a later conversation, and for weeks he was hoping I'd either just forgive and forget because he didn't know how to tell me. My first reaction was confusion. I told my husband why would he ever tell people that if we were first friends and then dated. We met in college and didn't have our first date until over a year later. He said he just wanted to impress his boys and that he was a stupid 20-something idiot. That just made me ask more questions, like why wasn't his brother in high school back then? Why would he even be telling his brother over made-up college conquests? He said he was just summing things up, but that basically he told one of his friends, who then told somebody else, and it reached his brother. Then he tried to further add to that gumbled mess by saying it was a running joke that stopped when we became serious, and how it was really about his friends ribbing him instead of me. I felt he was just making this stuff up. So I just shut the whole thing down and asked him why he's so desperate to take the fall for something his brother said. I told him I'm not out to get his brother or wish him ill, I just want space. My husband stayed defensive and said his brother will never say something like that again, and that I'm making it sound like I'm afraid he'll hurt me. This led to a senseless back and forth, with me saying over and over again that I just want space, and him saying it's been long enough and enough time has passed for me to get over this. I eventually snapped and said that if he's not going to tell me what has him so desperate for his family not to find out about his brother-in-law insulting me and me wanting to be away from him, then I'll just tell my in-laws myself. He said that he's telling the truth and that he just doesn't want to give his mum an excuse to give his brother more grief, as things between my brother-in-law and his parents are apparently already tense, and that he understands I'm angry, but to please understand that my brother-in-law is in a bad place and doesn't want to uproot the only support he has. He then started crying, which I didn't expect, and said he feels my brother-in-law is in a worse place mentally than what any of us know, and to please just be patient with him right now. I didn't want to keep arguing after that and agreed to just let him tell his mother whatever he wants in the meantime, and that I don't have to speak or be near my brother-in-law until I say so. This was all on the car ride back to the house earlier today, and we agreed to talk more about this when we get some privacy. Right now he's watching TV with our kids while I'm in our room. In like 2 hours we'll go out to eat and probably won't be in the mood for a heavy conversation later tonight, which is fine because right now my thoughts are all over the place. I feel there's some heavy secret I'm not privy to. I'm confused over how much one stupid comment now has us here. If my husband isn't lying, then he has some weird hang-ups and attachment to his brother I'd never ever seen before. I just don't know what to think. Wow, this is weird, and I don't know if I'm just reading too much Reddit these days or what, but I'm getting bad vibes, really bad vibes. There's definitely something they're not telling OP here. Let's go to a final comment. This just gets stranger and stranger. I think you should have the conversation with your husband, given that your husband is asking you to take the brunt of the brother-in-law's bad behaviour. You deserve to know. Hopefully he'll be honest this time. That said, perhaps consider getting a third opinion. I'm not sure if there's a mutual friend or family member that you could trust to speak to you honestly about the brother or their relationship in general. If there is, come from a position of concern. Say you're worried because you've noticed some kind of strain between them. Maybe say your husband is a bit defensive when you asked, and you don't want to push him on something sensitive. You just want to know how to navigate a potential emotional minefield. There does seem to be something going on. Perhaps the brother has a hidden history of mental illness, or perhaps there was a big blowout amongst the family. Given the extreme emotional reaction from your husband and the lies, it could be anything. That is all the more reason to keep your distance from the brother-in-law and do a little detective work. To be honest, I think you should get your story across to your mother-in-law, if your husband doesn't give a very good reason for what he's done. Right now, your husband is not prioritizing you. He's also willing to lie to his wife and break the trust between you to cover for his brother's disgusting behavior. To say nothing of his willingness to see you thrown under the social bus with his family and friends just for wanting space. This is not acceptable. Don't let him turn you into the villain. I can't think of a reason that would absolve the brother's comment or the lies your husband told. Maybe your husband will surprise me, but I'm not holding my breath. Your husband is outright saying his brother will not just be a part of your life forever, but be a priority above you. That's why I strongly suggest you to start reassessing the relationship and figuring out what is best for you and what boundaries you need to draw. Yeah, okay, and some great advice to wrap up on there. And yeah, I'll keep an eye out for an update on that one, but suffice to say, yeah, this is a really weird situation. What do you guys think? Any advice for OP here? Let me know in the comments. Okay, on to another story. Okay, we're staying on relationships. This one was written by user Famous Delivery, and it's titled, My husband of 16 years is having a baby, and it's not mine. I, 46 female, have lived with my husband, 48, for over 20 years, married for 16, and we have 2 kids, 16 and 9. 1 year ago, he decided that he has had enough of family life and went to live with his parents for some time. He was behaving like a bachelor for the entirety of his stay with them, found a girlfriend and was drunk constantly. He had used alcohol before, but we had never had much problems around it. He also spent a lot of his time playing games with friends on his computer. 1 year ago, he informed me that he found a girlfriend and was ready to move out of our apartment and cut ties, although he didn't quite do that. He left me, making close to minimum wage, to care for our 2 kids, and also left a collection of unpaid bills going back months. After that, I fell into a depressive episode that lasted 2 months, and my 2 close friends managed to get me out of it. About 3 months after he left us, he came back. Well, not really. He started coming to our city, hanging out with the kids again and also with me, inviting me out for drinks and dinner. All was going well, and my 16-year-old went on a week-long trip with him. For a while, all was going well. He said that the girlfriend was a lie, and he just needed some time away to clear his head. Last night I sent him a good night, love you text as I usually do, but in the morning he replied with, I don't deserve your love. I'm about to become a dad again. I'm sorry. I later called him to ask what he meant by that, and he told me that he has a girlfriend in another country who is pregnant with his kid. She plans to keep it, and he wants to cut ties with me and our kids to care for that child. I don't know what to do. I requested divorce, but he declined, saying he was not ready. Can anyone give me advice regarding this situation? Can I divorce him anyways, even though he doesn't want to do it? Is there any way I can secure payments to my kids? Since with only my job I can barely make ends meet for the basics. I do some odd jobs here and there, but it's not enough. Does this bloke really think he can just run around willy-nilly and then abandon his family after he has another kid? Jeez, the gall of some people. Let's go to some comments. Speak with an attorney ASAP. He doesn't want a divorce because he doesn't want to help with the kids. File for divorce and request child support and alimony. Even if you guys are split, why the hell is he not financially contributing to your kids' needs? He doesn't get to just up and leave and you deal with everything. If he wants to leave, then adios, but he has to financially support and assist. You need to talk to someone to take the next steps. Ask the friends that helped you before to navigate the lawyer process with you. F that guy, he's a loser. Opie replies, My oldest gets a monthly allowance of about €50. She uses it to go out with her friends from time to time or buy them some gifts for birthdays. I will be looking into getting a lawyer. I'm just not sure how I'll afford it. Jesus Christ, one of the worst things I've read in a while. Why the F do these men that have children outside of their marriage choose to just abandon their previous children or family? Like, okay, you're already a disgusting individual that let your family down, but why choose to punish them even more by abandoning them? What a disgusting excuse of a man. It's already wild to me that you allowed him to come back and went to get drinks with him, sent good night I love you texts, etc. after he abandoned you and your 2 kids and left you with his debt. Divorce should have happened a year ago. Yeah, that's a good point. Why is she still sending him texts saying that she loves him and stuff? She should have hated this guy ages ago. Anyway, it's been 8 months and still no update, so I guess all we can do is cross our fingers and hope for the best for OP here. What are your thoughts about that one? Let me know in the comments. Okay, on to another story. Okay, jumping over to Am I the A-hole? This one was written by user Automatic Trick, and it's titled, Am I the a-hole for giving my ex-girlfriend her ticket for Taylor Swift, but cancelling everything else? I'm working overseas right now, and I managed to get tickets for Taylor Swift in Singapore. The concert is this coming Saturday. My plan was to fly my girlfriend over for a little vacation. It's a long ways from Connecticut, so she was going to be staying for 10 days. I was clear, and I told her that we would have 2 weekends together, as well as the evenings, but that I still had to work during the daytime. Last week she called me and said she was not okay with it being long distance, and that after the concert we were over. I asked for clarification. She said she would come for the 10 days and we could have fun, but that we were done. I can have fun without paying for it. I transferred her the 1 ticket and cancelled everything else. She called me to scream at me for cancelling the flights and hotel, and I told her that I wasn't going to discuss it and hung up. I blocked her on everything. I'm hearing from people back home that she's lost her crap. She'd been bragging about getting to see Taylor Swift in the vacation. Now she's telling everyone that I cancelled plans just out of the blue. I guess that is sort of true. I did not discuss it with her before I made my decision and did what I did. I unblocked her long enough to offer to buy the ticket back if she wasn't going to use it. That conversation was unpleasant and involved a lot of profanity. The upshot was she would rather let it go to waste than let me have it. Her friends have been defending her and calling me an a-hole. My position is that I would feel like a John flying her over for fun. Yeah, there's no way you'd pay for a holiday for someone who said they'd break up with you after it. This girl's delusional, and I bet she's regretting telling him before the holiday now. Let's see some comments. Not the a-hole. She broke up with you. You're no longer obligated to finance her holiday. Everyone's giving you crap for giving her the ticket, but honestly I think it's an amazing move. I read that it was a birthday gift, after she'd given you a nice one for your birthday, so you're square. Also, it's a great FU to give the ticket, and dare her to find her own way there. I don't know, I love it. Not the a-hole, obviously. Not the a-hole. You should not have given her the ticket, dummy, lol. You could have found someone else there to go, or gave it to some random stranger there. Well, I think giving her the ticket was the best part. She has everything in her power to get an airplane ticket out to go see Taylor Swift, but she probably won't do it out of laziness. She was happy to go on someone else's nickel. She'll be left staring at her digital ticket birthday present, watching it go to waste, realizing she made a terrible mistake. Revenge like that is worth every penny. Yeah, good point. It's almost like holding something just out of reach of someone, and frankly, sounds like she had it coming. Okay, onto an update. My ex sold me back her ticket at face value. She couldn't find anyone interested in paying for her flight and hotel over. I didn't want to see Taylor Swift, but it was easy to sell a pair of tickets for a nice bit of change. I wish I had more to tell. I wish I could say that I went to the concert and met a lovely woman that my ex sold the ticket to. I wish I could say my ex flew out on her own dime to win me back at the concert. None of that would be true. I made money selling something I bought for a woman I thought I was going to marry. I'm glad I found out what sort of person she really is before I made that mistake. Sorry this isn't more exciting. Thanks everyone for helping me see my way through this. Okay folks, and that's the end of that one. God, imagine your boyfriend paying for your flight, hotel, and Taylor Swift tickets, you know how expensive they are, and then you dump him before the concert actually happened. Safe to say she's probably not the brightest. Okay, on to some final comments. Best possible ending. I remember reading this on Am I the A-hole, and I'm still convinced she was just looking to be able to sleep around guilt-free before the concert. Says a lot about her that she's willing to trade sex for a concert. Hope he dodged one hell of a bullet. Sorry, but she's an idiot for doing that crap before the concert and trip. She did him a favour, but man, no brains on that one at all. Guess X is just bad blood and filled with blank space. Okay guys, and that's the end of that story. Let me know your thoughts down below. Anyway, that's it from me today. Hope you guys enjoyed those stories. Thanks for making it to the end, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good day. Cheers.